are the 12 tribes of Israel. 7 the Assyrian king, he took us down, we fell. With a great escape we went through the Euphrates. The Lord held the water still. To a land where no mankind dwelt, we went. The 12 tribes of Israel. We Manasseh, Cuban, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, Naphtali from the Isles of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. From Panama, North American India, Libya, Dominican. The highest gathering in Israel. The Arabs and Africans told us. At gunpoint. Together our wives and children and souls. Shalom. In the area of each place we travel. By the rivers of Babylon, we found our brothers here. How you gather us. Whoa. Shalom, brothers and sisters. Oh, yeah. Oh, come on. Reuben from Australia. The Mexicans, that's who we be, we be. Oh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, Naphtali from the Isles of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. Tamian. The Most High Ahaya is gathering Israel. Shalom to my brothers and sisters throughout the four corners of the earth. I'm Elder Ricard of the Gathered of Christ Church, live with our weekly broadcast. How are you? Okay, I hope you are doing well. Of course, I have Elder Lawyer on standby. Lawyer, where you at? Let me hear you.
Shalom, shalom.
Okay, you're loud and clear. Everything is good. Hey, we have a great show for you this evening. A thought-provoking show. Okay, and we hope through the Spirit of the Most High God, the God of Israel, that brothers and sisters make a conscience-loving decision for your children going forward after seeing or hearing this program. Keep in mind that a lot of what we talk about here, matter of fact, all we talk about stems from the values and the morality which is taught within the Bibles, okay, within the content of the Bible itself. When it comes to values and decisions we would make in our life, if the majority of us made decisions according to the morality or the civility written of in the Bible, okay, a lot of the issues we struggle with on a daily basis would be actually null and void. But I digress. More important than us, we need to talk about the children right now. You notice within the last couple of months, the Gathering of Christ Church, we've actually been talking on levels where everyday brothers and sisters can understand that something is seriously wrong in this earth, and in particular, something is seriously wrong with us. And until we begin to talk about it and own up to our contribution to this evil and wickedness will continue to spiral out of control, and eventually this spiraling would lead to the hellfire the Bible speaks of. Okay? Very, very, very poignant and important discussion this evening. And of course, I would like to have Elder Gocc come in a little later. Elder Gocc, if you're hearing this, just text me and I'll bring you in at a later time within the broadcast. Because based on some of the things Elder Gocc in New York discussed with me before the program, concerning laws that are being pushed in New York right now, we thought that we would push aside some of what we were going to talk about this evening, which we were going to go into the elderly of our community to figure out what's going on with the elderly altogether. Are they null and void? Is there any elders left in our community to protect us and to give us the wisdom to sustain throughout future generations? Well, I guess I'll go into that next week, being that I would like to talk about the children first. For the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about the things that are ill in our community that most of us don't want to discuss or actually deal with. The dysfunctions, which the Bible actually tells us is a curse in itself. We do the things that we all know is contrary to the Most High and excuse it off as, well, this is me right now. This is how I like to do things, or this is why I tend to contribute the negativity and the dysfunction within my community. Hell with what the children, the effects this have on the children. Hell with the next generation. I'm doing me. This is what I would like to do, and until I see fit to change, so be it. Right? Excuses, excuses, excuses leads to hell. Okay, as you come in, hit the like button. But what about our children? Okay, what about the children who don't have the capacity to make certain choices like adults? Isn't it upon us to protect them until they come of full age, into the time in which they can discern or choose good from evil? And that's why I'm going into this discussion this evening, based on some of the laws that are being pushed in New York right now. You all hear about it, the mandatory vaccine law and all that. And I have some clips we'll view together this evening. And I would like your opinion on YouTube, as well as those who are on Blog Talk. And if you would like to chime in, come into the queue and into this deep discussion right now, because I'm going to delve into this like you've never seen before this evening. The phone number to call in to chime in on this discussion is 515-605-9327. That's 515-605-9327. Okay. Now, the topic of our discussion this evening, okay, as you can see in the description or the title there, what are they forcing on our children? Think about that for a moment. Now, I'm an adult. You are an adult, okay? The majority of you in here are adults. Critical thinking beings, adult beings. It's one thing to try to come at me with something that can threaten my life, or to, or to impose something on me. Right? It's one thing to come against an adult who has the physical prowess or the mental capacity to defend themselves. It's another thing to impose something on a child that they would have to deal with the rest of their lives, to the point of death. And it's upon us being adults, it's upon us to protect our children. They depend on us as the front line of defense. And when I say us, parents, not the state, not the government, not their school teachers. We are supposed to be, according to all that exists in nature, because even animals know better, okay? It's upon us to protect those we bring in the world until they're at the age in which they can actually protect themselves. I mean, animals know better. Okay? If you don't believe that, you can have some cubs being protected by the lioness and the lion. And they'll protect their cubs and all that against the same species, against other lions. Okay? So even the animal kingdom know better. A pack of dogs will protect their puppies. Okay? Against other dogs. But where's that line of defense for people? Our children are being thrown to the wolves with no protection. And that's what we're about to go into. Some of these laws that are out there that target the children before they have a say or a voice for themselves. Even before they're able to talk or walk, things are imposed on them under the guise of safety or protection. It's upon us as parents to say, you know what? No. No. I'm here to speak for my child, and I know better to protect my child from all outside influences, chemicals, or whatever the case may be until they're old enough to make decisions for themselves. And not only that, I have a sovereign right to protect me and my children. It has nothing to do with the government or the laws or whatever the case is. That's my sovereign right. And not only that, that's my God-given right to protect myself. If someone was to come into my home and try to kick open the door and try to rob or harm my family, I have the right to protect myself. Okay? And if it means protecting myself with their life, okay, then that's what it comes down to. But that's my position as a man and someone who, have full authority and power in my home. Why don't we have that same inclination or mindset when it comes to our children and the programming and things that are going on within the earth today that are destroying your children? So here's a question. 515-605-9327 if you would like to chime in. What are they forcing on our children? What power do we actually have anymore as parents? Do you have any power to protect your children? Think about that. There's some people out there that spend more time with your children than you, and believe it or not, eventually have an influence based on the progressive programming that they must comply to. Okay? So who's ever controlling the people who you entrust with your children are really the controllers. And I'm speaking of, it's enough that they have separated the powers that be, man from woman, where we're going at each other ridiculously for no reason, not realizing the enemy is looking to destroy us all. But on top of that, the austerity in the earth, with everyone trying to chase a dollar, we drop off our children to strangers every day. Be it the daycare center. And listen, I'm not coming at people who's doing these things. I'm saying be cognizant, be knowledgeable, have some understanding of the risk. You have to know who you're giving your child to and care. Be it the mentor, boys and girls club, whether it be before they're able to talk, we drop off our children for the sake of trying to accomplish this dream to strangers at daycare centers. Right? And then when they go from daycare center, we don't have to worry about them. It's out of our hair. Who cares? Right? It's being subsidized. The government gives a little money to the daycare center and all those things. Then when they get old enough, then here it is. You put them in school, where all the critical thinking and the constructive information that should be applied or placed down to the child is actually being taught from people who actually have more critical time with your child than you. By the time we come home from work, tired, beat down, we put some food on the table, we cook. Guess what? We got about an hour or two. You do your homework, put them to bed, and go back into the wheel. Go back to sleep. Oh, yeah, I'm glad you're home, whatever the case is. and push them out there into the social board, right? Now, I have a school teacher that's going to come on in a moment. A school teacher that's also from the East Coast. That's going to give us some insight on what's going on in the schools, along with the progressive teachings of alternative lifestyles. That they are actually programming teachers with videos and all that based on the new level of programming that is being streamlined to our children in our absence. Guess what? You don't have no idea what they are teaching in these schools, folks. What they're forcing on the teachers. Now, the teachers have no options. Why? They've put all their kiddies in one basket, and this is their career. It's not as if they can just go into the workforce and get another job in this time of austerity. So they're being forced to push things that they disagree with. And you know what? I have a teacher that's going to come on this evening and talk about that. Do we have a right to say no to the outside forces destroying our children? Now, I'm going to bring the teacher on right now and have this conversation for about 10 minutes. And then I'm going to show you in other areas what's being forced on your children in your absence. But before I bring the teacher in, let me ask this. Do we have a right to say no to the outside forces destroying our children? Do you have the right to say no? Knowing that the enemy is tearing your children's psyche apart, or the enemy is destroying the mentality of your children? Do you have the right to say no to that? Do you have the right, or do you even care? That's another point altogether. Giving your children over to strangers give you free time to do whatever you would like. Do you even care that your children are being destroyed in your absence? Because that's what the enemy is banking on. So, here's the question. Do you have the right to say no to the outside forces destroying our children? Number one. Guess what? The state says no. The topic this evening: comply or die. Either comply or die. Your children don't belong to you. And if you think they do, I'll ask at the end of this broadcast, do you really have power over protecting your children? Let's see. One moment here. All right, here. Make a phone call. Now, of course, this teacher I'm going to bring on has to come on, anonymously, in protection of her income. So we're going to make sure we keep her name anonymous, but still, nonetheless, this woman we're bringing in this evening have been teaching for decades now. She's a sister, a woman, a black woman, was raised in a seriously moral setting, okay? And she's going to come on and let us know what's going on in our schools, especially the schools in the New York area, the East Coast area. That's what I'm going to, enough that I can tell you without divulging her identity, brothers and sisters. We're going to bring a school teacher on real quick to see what's really going on. All right. Now, before we do that, though, anticipation, right? I would like to play a quick video. Something I played the other night. One moment. One second here. Let me play a video real quick. Tell me what you think. Do you have the right to say no? Let's see. Bear with me. Okay. Let's see.
Called Drag Queen Story Time.
Stephanie Whitfield sat in on the program designed to promote acceptance.
Good morning.
Let's run that back.
The Heights Public Library today debuting a new children's story hour called Drag Queen Story Time.
Stephanie Whitfield sat in on the program designed to promote acceptance.
Acceptance.
Good morning, everybody.
The Heights Library had a special guest for story time.
Oh my goodness. Everyone is dressed so nice. I wish I would have worn a nice costume for y'all.
A visitor who usually performs for an older audience.
My name is Blackberry. I am a bearded drag queen. That means I'm a lady with lots of facial hair. Do you want to touch my hair? No.
This program is geared towards kids 10 years old and younger.
I just want to expose them to things they don't get to see every day and want it to become the more normal and more accepted. They've never seen a drag queen before, so I thought it was a good chance to see one.
But let's turn around and shake your butt. Shake them, shake them, shake them, shake them, shake them.
It was a first for this branch of the public library, too.
It is amazingly unique, and that is ultimately something that we strive for sure. We definitely, at this particular branch, but also at Houston Public Library, always want to promote diversity, understanding, inclusion, and fun.
Let me hear my cats.
Of course, a love of books, too. Blackberry says reading is a way to break the stigma of drag in queer culture.
That's the whole goal, is to make kids that aren't used to seeing something like me more comfortable to seeing it.
Y'all not right. Y'all not right. Hey, lawyer, you have some people on here saying that Umar Johnson is now looking to scam the children. Come on, man. Y'all not right. Lord have mercy.
Once they go into school, later on in life, and they see something that's totally different from them, instead of bullying, they're more accepting. 1, 2, 3, stinky cheese.
Now, there were definitely some kids who had to warm up to Blackberry, but that's the whole reason some parents went, to expose their children to something that they've never seen before, and most people seem to walk away having a good time.
Start them young, right?
Saw a lot of smiles there. Thanks, Stephanie.
See, they're sitting there laughing and joking, right? I don't find this funny at all. Okay. Why? Let me talk about this for one moment before I bring in the school teacher here. Why I don't find this funny like these so-called talking heads believe. These so-called talking heads, teleprompter readers. Okay? Simple as the day's old. Why? Because I believe in a free system. If it's what they call it, liberty and freedom, then tolerance must go both ways. Okay? Which means someone should be able to tolerate me disagreeing or you disagreeing. Right? How can tolerance be one way? Okay? That's number one. So you can't have it where, so what you're saying is it's not tolerance, it's imposing. Imposing is different than tolerance. Tolerance means you can tolerate me disagreeing also. Imposing means you're going to accept this whether you agree or not. So watch these words that they will teach you in school, these psych words like tolerance, acceptance. What are you talking about? Accept me disagreeing. Accept me having the sovereign right to instill the proper morality in my children. Now, as far as I'm concerned, okay, in my opinion on this, if this is not a case to call in the CPS, I don't know what is. No, but if you disagree with this, they'll call in CPS against you. Right? So you should have a right to disagree, and that's not hate speech. That's saying, listen, I don't do that. I don't agree with that. And that's what people have the right to do, make choices. Okay? There's certain things I don't like to eat. I don't eat. Some things I can't eat because God said it's unclean, and it is. That's my choice. And no one is going to put something on my plate and say, eat it, and say, listen, tolerate this ham sandwich. Tolerate these bowls of chitlins. Okay. Oh, you're not tolerant enough. No, it's called a choice. Right? Let's bring in the school teacher. For those who've just come in, right? For those who've just come in, again, the topic, comply or die. What are they forcing on our children? What power do we actually have as parents anymore? Do we have a right to say no to the outside forces that we know are destroying our children? The state says no. Comply or die. Okay. What I'm just showing you, what I just showed you, is the tip of the iceberg. That's just the beginning. Let me get the school teacher on.
Hi.
Hey, how are you doing? I'm blessed.
Good.
Okay. We have a school teacher on, and we're just going to give you an anonymous name here. Sister Shay is here with us. How are you doing this evening?
I'm great.
Okay, first of all, I would like to thank you for coming on as a guest to give us some insight on what's going on with our children in our absence while at work or whatever the case is in the care of schools. If you care, if you would like, thank you again for coming on. Just give us some of your background.
You're welcome.
Yeah, give us some of your background without divulging too much information concerning yourself. How long have you been in the school system? If you don't mind asking, how long have you been a school teacher?
13 years.
18 years.
13.
13. 13 years as a school teacher. Okay. Now, what would you say is the difference between education now as far as the social engineering and what they're what they're teaching children now opposed to 13 years ago, sister?
Well, 13 years ago, it was more that the teacher had control, was able to teach the children from their own knowledge as well as knowledge that they gained from their studies.
Okay.
So now it's taken out of their hands and they have to follow a certain curriculum. And it's a curriculum designed to keep the children disconnected.
Okay.
And the children are bored.
Okay. Expound on that. You figured after all this time that it's that they are looking to disconnect the children, right? You're saying that there used to be a vested interest in which you could engage a child and particularly help the child understanding the child's personal needs. You would have your own way of teaching, but they've taken that away altogether?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You don't have a choice in the matter.
Okay, so it's like you're teaching from a playbook, some type of script. With no personal...
something that they designed that makes absolutely no sense.
Okay, give me an example of what doesn't make sense to you.
Well, for one, they're teaching from outdated school books. And it doesn't relate to the children and their cultural backgrounds. So the children feel left out, feel like, why are you teaching me this when it has nothing to do with me?
So when you have such a thing going on within the schools, what's the blowback? What's the blowback? How are the children acting out based on this?
Well, school is definitely a playground for them. And the teachers are babysitters. That's really what it's come down to. It's not about education, and all of the teachers seem to understand that.
It's not about education.
But
It's
they're
just
pawns in the game.
okay. So you're just well, teachers have become high-priced babysitters.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now let me ask you this: in this world of what you would call tolerance, okay, or what you would call the progressive agenda today, when it comes to genders and all those things, that's being I'm seeing on TV now. You being a school teacher, have you run into that when now the gender thing is one of the key emphasis within the educational system? And before you answer that question, what grades primarily do you teach, or around your age? Is
Third
it
and the fourth.
huh?
Third and fourth grade.
So we're speaking of elementary children, 3rd and 4th grade.
Yes.
Okay. Now, are they learning anything about alternative lifestyles as far as being gay, gender, and all those things?
Not yet, but the teachers have to do trainings on it.
Okay. Have you done your training on it, on what exactly you'll
Yes,
be teaching
I
the children?
have.
Okay. What are they telling you is coming down the pipeline on the East Coast for 3rd and 4th graders?
That there's another sex now called pan something. It's craziness. It's not even like male or female. It's other.
So they,
And that you basically have to have a sensitivity to the fact that, how would you say, their gender could be made up.
so they call this a pan gender now, that you're going to be
Yes.
teaching 3rd and 4th graders?
Yes.
Okay. Now, how do the teachers feel about this?
The teachers are laughing about it. They're like, "Are you kidding me?" They know that it's a plan. You know, it's obvious that it's a plan to twist the minds of the students.
And you have no choice or say in the matter.
No. You have to take the training, and obviously every time we take training, it's because they're about to implement that within their structure.
So they're going to be teaching 3rd and 4th graders a new gender outside of male and female. Now, here's my question to you. I'm sure some of your students have parents who go to church, who have instilled biblical morality within those children. Do they have a say in this matter? Do they know this is about to be taught to their children?
Interestingly, the parents never have a say. It's an afterthought when the students may mention it to their parents. But the parents are usually not too involved with their children because of the, how would you say, the background of the children are usually poor and coming from backgrounds where there's a lot of dysfunction within their family units.
Okay, so this is prominent within the areas of dysfunction. Poor, what they would call underprivileged children, black children.
Right.
So either the parents don't care altogether, or let me ask you this: before they roll this out, is there some type of permission slip? Because I know when you and I were growing up, and back in the day when all of us were growing up, anything out of the norm would come with a consent or permission form. We would take the form home, and certain things we couldn't participate in unless our parents signed that particular thing over. Trips or whatever the case is, or something outside of the morality taught in the home. Is there a permission slip or something sent home to let them know that this is coming down the pipeline? This neutral
No, so far,
Go ahead.
according to the training, nothing of that was mentioned.
So you can teach a pan or a non-gender agenda to children 3rd and 4th grades without the parents' permission?
That's what I'm assuming because of the fact that we were never taught in our training that any type of notice would go out to the parents.
So what steps are taken to actually rally the community together as far as the parents, the teachers, and all get together on the outside of the school and say, well, you know what? Let's talk about this. Is that possible? Or you believe or you think the parents don't even care anyway?
Most of the parents, they're too busy trying to survive. That's really not in their interest.
So I'm sure you didn't become a school teacher for this.
Definitely not.
Right? So what are you going to do? So are the school teachers just going to just roll over and just accept this, or you just forced to based on, there's no jobs and all that thing. So you just have to just go along with the program, right?
Well, most of them are going along with the program. As for myself, I'm transitioning out. That was always the intention from the beginning.
Okay.
But it's unfortunate because you have teachers that mean well and that really want to teach the students.
Okay.
But their hands are tied because they can't even use any of their personality. They can't even share other things outside of the curriculum in terms of teaching the students English and math and things of that nature, as well as culture and refinement.
Okay, now I heard that you've seen a video to prep you for what's to come or what to teach these children going forward, okay? These third and fourth graders who could care less about sex and gender and all these things, right? But anyway, what's on these videos, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, they're showing males dressed up like females, and then they're showing the males saying that they're both sexes, that they don't want you to call them female or male. They can or other.
Now, in the video, are these adults or children?
These are young teenagers and older, like adults, young adults.
Okay. All right. All right. Now, what warning would you give, sister, to parents who may have their children third and fourth grade? Because I'm sure this is not just the East Coast. Okay, I'm sure this is being rolled out all around the earth right now based on what we're seeing on TV and other things. Now, let me ask you a question. Well, let me ask you this question first, okay, before I get before myself. Okay? What advice, being on the inside, would you give parents?
Talk to your children. Create a platform where you debrief them when they come home, where you connect with them, and have them turn off the TV. Make that be a regular part of your lifestyle, that you talk to your children and you find out what's going on in school, what's being taught.
Okay. Okay, here's another question. Once they bring forth this program, in the parents' absence of neutrality and all these other things that they're teaching or they're progressing, okay, outside of our homes, right?
Right.
What do you suggest the parents do when these things are, are taught prevalently as some sort of curriculum or whatever with their children? What steps can the parents take outside of talking to their children? Because you have to realize, these people in school are top child psychologists. So they are taught to communicate with children on a level that the everyday parent couldn't begin to understand. So their influence is more powerful, having more time with the children. And a lot of these people have degrees in child psychology where they can influence the child over the parents. Okay? So what would you suggest? If you were in the same position as one of these parents and someone, and you had a third or fourth grade come home and say, Mommy or Daddy, I'm thinking about, whether or not I'm a boy or a girl or whatever the case is, what steps would you take? Well, like, I'm confused based on what I'm learning in the school. I want to play with girl stuff too, even though I'm a boy. Suppose this was your child. What would you do?
Oh my goodness. I would definitely rally up with the rest of the parents and discuss what's going on. And I would definitely have us all go to the Board of Education. Parents have more power than they realize.
Okay.
It's interesting because when children act out, they get in trouble. Parents are quick to go to the Board of Education then, and they're able to exercise the power that they have by having the Board of Education support them in negative behaviors concerning their children. But in regards to this, they have a lot of power. If they show some type of dissatisfaction with the programs that they're implementing, their voice matters. And the superintendent of the school will definitely listen to the parents, especially if they're outnumbered.
So that's why I asked you this question, so that parents out there can understand their power. What power they have, because in their absence, those that are progressing these agendas, these political agendas, are at these meetings influencing the politicians in parents' absence, in the absence of parents. You have these lobbies that are going from state to state based on what laws will be passed in the future. These same people are going, and they're actually within these meetings that are influencing legislation and the educational system while the parents are at work. So
But the interesting thing is, they wouldn't do this in the upper class school systems.
Okay.
They target the underprivileged children.
Oh, this is deep. You hear what this school teacher is saying here? She says that they don't even push this in well-to-do school systems like in the suburbs. They're more so targeted in poor areas, this alternative lifestyle. And I know this to be true for sure, folks. Let me tell you, those moms in the suburbs isn't going for it. There will be a PTA meeting, a town meeting, immediately if someone was to come in there cross-dressing and all that. Because what you just seen, that the video I showed you earlier, folks, wasn't in a suburban school. They tried to do that in a library. And the suburban mothers seen what was going on because they knew they would start in the library and move their way into the educational system. And guess what? Those white mothers got together, and shut that thing down. They shut it down. Okay. Now, when you see these made for TV skits, like I showed you earlier about the guy, what you would call the drag queen storyteller, a lot of these people that are in the library with them, with their children, are from Wiccan covens. These are pagans and witches and all that in these certain communities, and they'll come out and dress like regular parents with their children, not telling you they're from a Wiccan community, okay, to push and to actually push the agenda through the news as if it's normal. A lot of these so-called propagandized scenarios are being pushed by a certain demographic, either the Masons fraternities, black or white, or the pagans, witches and warlocks, sorcerers in certain communities they're called in for these skits, folks, and bring children. I'll put it out there for you. It's not a conspiracy theory, okay? No church going spiritual mother or father who believe in the Most High God in the Bible would allow their children to be in such a circle like we've witnessed earlier. Before you go, Shay, if there's anything you'd like to say outright that you think the people out there, because thousands of people are listening to you right now, what advice you will give, that you would give a mother right now who may be struggling and don't realize what's going on? And is there anything you would like to say before we get to the next segment? Because I'm going to go into the law that's being passed in New York right now. speaking about the vaccines, that they are now taking away religious exemptions in the state of New York. Now, what I found to be true is that, especially in our community system, they're not tying together the vaccines and the mental health issues that's going on within our community, that they actually tie in, that there's a direct result of mental illness based on people being vaccinated. Okay, and I'm going to bring that information out in a couple of seconds. A long agenda. This agenda has been almost a century in the making, where they were looking to move a chemical within society that would cause mental illness. And they stated that they would use the vaccines to do so. And I'm bringing that out on this program this evening. But sister, before I go into the next segment, is there anything you would like to say?
Well, adding to what you just said, they're also putting chemicals in the water to make males female.
Gender bear.
And to make females male.
This is not gender bear. Hold up. This is not gender bear. It's ginger bear. Okay? And this is not hate speech, what I'm saying here. This is ginger bear, not gender bear. Okay? Go on. Organic. But go on. So you're saying they put...
But I would say to the parents...
Yeah.
Understand your power. Okay. Understand that you have a voice and that your voice will be heard, especially in numbers.
So we need to rally these parents together to go to city council and go to these town meetings and parents-teachers conferences to move this stuff out. We should have a voice. It's not as if... But if we lay down and say nothing at all, eventually the law is on their side, and of course the government have no recourse but to enforce the law which have been placed on the books, right?
Absolutely.
So exercise their political power while there's still time, while there's still some control over our children, is what you're saying.
Right.
Okay. Now, okay. So we're going to talk offline about this so that we can talk about different programs and things that we can actually progress and show our the people in our community. Why? Because a lot of us don't know we have that right. We believe things are mandatory. We have to follow, whatever streamed down through the pipeline. We believe that there's no voice, but you're saying there is.
Absolutely is.
Okay. Well, thank you. Sometimes I'm going to bring you in to let us know. If something changed in your schools, let us know. Just call me and we'll have you on. Okay? You can be our
Absolutely.
You can be our residential teacher expert. All right? All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, sister. Bless you.
Have a good night.
All right. Bless you. Shalom. There you go. There you go. Comply or die. What are they forcing on our children, you might ask? Check this out.
We need to meet a new constraint, and that constraint has to do with CO2. Is warming the planet. And the equation on CO2 is actually a very straightforward one. If you sum up the CO2 that gets emitted, that leads to a temperature increase. And that temperature increase leads to some very negative effects. The effects on the weather, perhaps worse, the indirect effects in that the natural ecosystems can't adjust to these rapid changes, and so you get ecosystem collapses. Now, the exact amount of how you map from a certain increase in CO2 to what temperature will be and where the positive feedbacks are, there's some uncertainty there, but not very much. And there's certainly uncertainty about how bad those effects will be, but they will be extremely bad. I asked the top scientists on this several times, do we really have to get down to near zero? Can't we just cut it in half or a quarter? And the answer is that until we get near to zero, the temperature will continue to rise. And so that's a big challenge. It's very different than saying, we're a 12-foot high truck trying to get under a 10-foot bridge and we can just sort of squeeze under. This is something that has to get to zero. Now, we put out a lot of carbon dioxide every year, over 26 billion tons. For each American, it's about 20 tons. For people in poor countries, it's less than 1 ton. It's an average about 5 tons for everyone on the planet. And somehow we have to make changes that will bring that down to zero. It's been constantly going up. It's only various economic changes that have even flattened it at all. So we have to go from rapidly rising to falling and falling all the way to zero. This equation has 4 factors, a little bit of multiplication. So you've got a thing on the left, CO2, that you want to get to zero. And that's going to be based on the number of people, the services each person's using on average, the energy on average for each service, and the CO2 being put out per unit of energy. So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. That's back from high school algebra. But let's take...
Do you hear the people in the audience laughing, brothers and sisters? These are the future 1%, the controllers of this earth. See them laughing? Because they know that people is part of the number that this guy is talking about getting down to zero. What does that mean? People must die according to his equation. And see, for the academia, for those of intellect or quote unquote high IQ, the academia of this earth, they can read between the lines. Our people will see this within our communities, and what he's saying would go right over their heads. He just said some of these going to have to go down to zero. And people are also in the equation. Not future people. People living must die is what he just said. But how? How is he going to get the number down and make the earth safe by bringing the number of people down in the earth, you might ask, right? Listen.
First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
So he's talking about lowering the earth by 10 to 15%. Healthcare, reproduction healthcare. What's reproduction healthcare, folks? Planned Parenthood. He said vaccines and through the healthcare system will depopulate the earth or get rid of 15% of the earth's population. He didn't say the vaccines are being used for measles, mumps, Ebola, or any other disease they claim they're vaccinating us for. The whooping cough. He didn't say that, did he? But that's what they tell you. They tell us it's to keep the measles down. Now, listen, when you and I speak like this, we're deemed conspiracy theorists. Bill Gates, what he just said, was that a conspiracy theory? Was that a conspiracy theory? If he do a real good job with vaccines, he's going to do what? Lower the number of people on Earth. That means the vaccines, if they work real good, people get sick and die from them. I didn't say that. Bill Gates said that. Now, was that a conspiracy theory right there? I didn't say that today I didn't speak whether or not I was pro or con vaccines. I'm just giving you the data. I'm letting them tell you what the vaccines are for. Well, let's hear it again, in case y'all may believe that it's me making this up. I'm the conspiracy theorist here.
Back from high school algebra, but let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines,
a really good job,
reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. But there we see an increase of about 1.3. The second factor is the services we use. This encompasses...
Now, as you can see, folks, as you can clearly see, Bill Gates, who runs a foundation predominantly, if not exclusively, targeting Black, Hispanic, and underprivileged areas all around the earth with vaccines, just told us the vaccines are used to depopulate or get the number of people off the earth they want off the earth. But do they tell you in your neighborhoods, when your doctor, when your baby's born and they says, well, it's safe, and that there's an outbreak and I'm doing this, the measles and mumps and all that, do they tell you that the real plan is to kill off the population according to their experts, according to their academia records? And I have some, and their white papers and books, and I'm going to bring out some information that was out there since the early 1900s of what they was going to do with the vaccines. I'm not making this up. I'm about to bring out, there's quote unquote academia, hierarchy, so to speak. This plan that they're doing within our communities has been decades in the works. They're telling you it's measles, mumps. Let me tell you, I've never seen a measles, mump, or polio. I've never seen no type of breakout in our society ever. My mother didn't, her parents didn't, I asked them. Okay. So is there something else in that vaccine they're not telling us? I'm going to leave that up to you to decide. But you know what? You should have the right or choice for you and your children, folks, to figure this out and even disagree with it. You should be able to look at it, take on the risks if need be, having your sovereign right or your religious right to do so. Jesus didn't tell me, as they say they trust in Jesus. Well, Jesus didn't tell me to get a vaccine. Jesus told me to trust in the Lord. That's what Jesus said, right? Now, if people want to go along with this, you have your full right to believe all the science they claim that it's safe. But on the other side, there's science to the contrary. And people have the right to believe that science in a free world. Or again, back to the topic, comply or die. What are they forcing on our children? And what power do we actually have anymore as parents? When you get the science that's contrary to what the news programs and your doctors are saying, do you have the right to say no to it? Let's find out. Check this out, folks. One moment. Let me get it here.
Opponents of vaccinations staged a protest today at the New York State Capitol. The nation's worst measles outbreak right now is happening in New York, where health officials blame a well-funded misinformation campaign. Dr. John LaPook went looking for answers.
How many people in this room do not believe that the information coming from the Centers of Disease Control is correct about vaccines?
Protesters converged on the Capitol building in Albany, New York today. Anything about the group?
Where health officials blame a well-funded misinformation campaign. Dr. John LaPook went looking for answers.
How many people in this room do not believe that the information coming from the Centers of Disease Control is correct about vaccines?
Protesters converged on the Capitol building.
You notice all of these people who are not in our community, mind you, raised their hands when the guy asked, how many of you believe these stories are bogus? They all raised their hands, folks. Because why? There's no outbreak amongst them and their children. But what's ever happening with this news story that's out there will affect their community and their children. Okay? So they got out there with their signs and say, well, no. If something is happening in your community, you go ahead and vaccinate yourself and your people. Don't come around us with that mess. There's no outbreak in the hood. We don't see no measles and mumps and all that coming. The only measles and mumps we see going down is on those with those who are already vaccinated. Right? Listen to this.
Albany, New York today, meeting with state legislators. They are trying to kill a bill that would remove non-medical exemptions for school vaccinations.
But the rabbis tell us that there's nothing in Judaism that says that prohibits vaccination.
It doesn't matter.
Questions were met with heated responses.
Well, the question, I guess, that Pete
Think of the Disneyland outbreak. These people are not dying. Herd immunity. Most adults
Most of the measles cases in New York have occurred in Orthodox Jewish communities, where an illustrated magazine known as the Peach Pamphlet has been circulating. Public health officials tell us the pamphlet is specifically targeting this community.
So here it is. They said an outbreak happened in a Jewish community, unverified by anyone who's living on the outside of that community. It's not like I can go into the Jewish community and investigate the validity of this story. Can I? But because of this story, all of New York now, the whole New York, you're talking about how many millions of people there with children, must comply to a vaccine law. None of us can go into the Jewish community and figure out whether or not this story is correct or incorrect. That's a small community now that have now affected the whole of New York. So these parents is like, what? That's a condensed, controlled population there. What do they have to do with us? We don't know if that story is true. And let's say it is true. Okay, 100% truth, right? Can't be denied, 100% verified. I still have the right to say no, don't I?
Falsely links vaccines to autism. The overwhelming consensus of the scientific community is that vaccines do not cause autism. The pamphlet's cover says it is a project of parents educating and advocating for children's health, or PEACH. That organization's website posted a statement saying it had nothing to do with the pamphlet, even though it hosted a copy on its website until last month. We found this address listed for PEACH, but nobody there knew anything about the group.
Doesn't sound familiar?
Some of the more established names at today's rally included Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Recently, some of his family members disavowed his views about vaccines. And Del Bigtree, a leading voice questioning vaccines. Back in March, He used Holocaust imagery to align himself with vaccine skeptics in the Orthodox Jewish community.
For all the Hasidic Jews in New York right now that never thought this moment will come, I am saying, I stand with you.
Big Tree's funding has grown.
Where do you get your funding? What's the largest?
I would say that we are being donated to by lawyers, by doctors, by scientists, by entertainers that all believe that this is a discussion that needs to be discussed.
Now, let me put that to the side real quick, folks. Think about this. What is the most disheartening part of this story that we're seeing here, right, folks? What is the most disheartening part of this story? The people who are being in number disproportionately affected by the side effects of vaccines, the poor population, isn't represented at all at these rallies. The people that are suffering from the mental anguish and the physical anguish that came from vaccines, that comes from vaccines, are not even in attendance. Right? I want to put that out there. Because guess what? I visited all over the world. I've been all over the world. I've been in different communities, and I don't see vaccines being pushed in the suburbs like it is within the inner cities. It doesn't exist. There's no vaccine mobiles. There's nobody pushing. As a matter of fact, if a parent say, I don't want to deal with it, you know, and say that they would like to exercise their informed consent, the doctors listen to them. There's no voice for those who are actually suffering under these agendas. Right? Now, let's get a parent's personal account out here, up here. I want y'all to check this out.
And then we will be nearly set and come on YouTube, up you go. Okay, we're live. Okay. Right, so first of all, tell everybody your name.
My name is Angie Gallagher.
Okay, Angie, nice loud voice.
Okay.
Okay, Angie Gallagher, and you organised the whole event here. I know you had some help.
Yep.
But you were the main organiser. Thank you so much, because you've just had a baby.
Yeah.
Do you see that beautiful little baby girl? What's her name?
Ariel.
Ariel, it's beautiful. She's absolutely gorgeous, and she's 6 weeks old, yeah?
Yeah.
And she is not vaccinated.
No, not yet. She's not gonna be.
Not yet?
No. I mean, we didn't get any of the hospital vaccines. She's not getting any.
And she's not going to get any. Now let's talk about why she's not going to get any, because you have actually got, this is your 5th child.
Yep.
How old are your children now?
16, 12, 7, and 5.
16 down to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're first of all were all vaccinated. So let's talk about them, because the most important thing, of course, is my question to you is, when you were pregnant 16 years ago, you really don't look old enough to have been pregnant 16 years old. I'm just saying. Were you anti-vaccine?
No. I didn't know anything. I was 20 years old and, you know, young mom, married, and we just did everything our doctor said. We didn't know anybody that didn't vaccinate. We didn't know anybody that questioned it. The internet wasn't like a big deal back then. It wasn't something you thought to research. You just did what you were told to do.
All right, so talk to me, but so she's 16, is it a she? He's 16 years old now. Talk about when you first started to see injury. Obviously, he was completely vaccinated to schedule, as you were told.
Yeah, 16 years ago. We actually we actually listened to the doctors up until our 4th child was 16 months old. So we didn't look at what was going on with their health in relation to vaccines until 2013. When our 4th child had his reaction.
Okay. So let's list some of the reactions your children have got then.
Sure. The 16-year-old has severe allergies and eczema and asthma. And
allergies, eczema, asthma.
Told us, you know, some kids are just sensitive or, you know, hyperallergic to things.
Allergic?
Looking back, I know that he didn't have eczema at birth, and he did after
eczema.
a couple months. can't link it to a specific day. And he started having asthma attacks.
Asthma attacks?
I looked at the records, I believe it was the day of his 24-month shots. And he still has the eczema so bad that he was hospitalized last year for a blood infection from the eczema.
Hospitalized?
Even though he was using, steroid creams and stuff. So
that's frightening.
It is. And other than that, he's perfectly healthy. Other than that, and he's perfectly typical and smart, young man.
And does he understand the injuries that he's got and going forward when he's pressurised? Because he will be and probably has been.
Yeah, I think he understands. He's watched Vaxxed, he's watched trace amounts, he's watched all the things that I've watched.
Now, we're not going to look at the whole 12 minutes. When you all get an opportunity, go find the video Vaxxed while you still are able to access it. Because these are parents who actually seen their children deteriorate or get diseases or fall out even to death right after a vaccine. But yet mainstream media will not report on these stories. The only thing you will hear through mainstream is that it's safe. Okay? But there's many stories on here. Crib death. Children dying before they leave the hospital. All of that are documented testimonies by parents that you will never see in the doctor's office when they're coming down on you as a bad parent for questioning whether or not you should have some foreign advent or some foreign pathogens shot into your children's bloodstream. Now, whether it's right or wrong out there is not to be argued. You having the right to say no should be your right, especially after hearing Bill Gates say that the true mission for vaccines is to kill off a certain demographic or population within the earth. Right? Now, that leads us to this guy here. Let me get him here. One moment. Let me get him here. One moment. A matter of fact, I'm going to put him on the screen for you here. Window capture. Desk. Let me get him here. One moment. Right here. This brings us to the devil's son. Let me pull him up here. Rudolph Steiner. That brings us to Rudolph Steiner, right? Now you might ask, and a lot of you may wonder, who in the heck is Rudolph Steiner, right? Jewish guy. It leaves us to go, we need to go back into history and tell you about this guy in respect of the advent of vaccinations. Now, this guy isn't a scientist. This guy, let me break him down for you. Rudolph Joseph Lorenz Steiner, born February 1861. Right? Steiner gained his initial recognition. Someone says, who the heck is this? Guess, check out who he is. Let me get it for you. One. Rudolph Steiner gained initial recognition at the end of the 19th century as a literary critic, published philosophical works, including The Philosophy of Freedom. Remember that? Freedom being liberal. At the beginning of the 12th century, the 20th century, he founded an esoteric spiritual movement, anthroposophy, with roots in German idealist philosophy and theosophy, to include Gothian science and Rosicrucianism. A lot of you don't understand that Rosicrucians are straight wizard warlocks. Now, so this guy, remember him, Rudolf Steiner. He so happened to be Jewish, right? Rudolf Steiner. He's an occultist who deal with spiritual science, a high academia type of dude who had Jesuit connections. Now, it was him that influenced the minds of the occultists today concerning science and how to use science to influence the population or to infect the population. So I found one of his white papers. A matter of fact, one of his white papers that's actually doved out amongst academia today, believe it or not, was actually sent to me. And I did some research on this guy. Folks, the majority of the people that are running government today are straight occultists. The founders of the United States of America, they tried to hide their occult connections by claiming they were Christian. You might ask, well, what does this have to do with vaccines, right? Check this out. Check this out. One moment. Let me see if I can get it here. Let me see if I can get it. Matter of fact, I'm going to pull up the window so you can see it yourself. Check this out. Rudolph, not the red-nosed reindeer. Check this out. Rudolf Steiner came with an idea that they were discussing in 2008. Check this out. The lecture is Fallen Darkness, Lecture 13, The Fallen Spirits Influence in the World. Let me minimize this for you. See, we have to do some of the research for you, right? It says here, look at this. The Fall Darkness Lecture 13, Fallen Spirits in the World. It was a lecture that was done by Dornich, October 27th, October 17. Now, they published this paper in 2008, but look what was within this lecture, brothers and sisters, in the early 1900s. Check this out. The spirits of darkness will work against this and combat it by physical means. I have told you that the spirits of darkness are going to inspire the human host, in which they will be dwelling, to find a vaccine that will drive all inclination towards spirituality out of people's souls. Out of people's souls. When they are still very young. And this will happen in a roundabout way through the living body. Today, bodies are vaccinated against one thing and another. In the future, children will be vaccinated with a substance which it will certainly be possible to produce. And this will make them immune so that they do not develop foolish inclinations connected with spiritual life. Foolish here, of course, in the eyes of materialists. That they would come up with an agent and produce something that would disconnect our children from God by medically inducing things and doing what? Targeting their brains. And that's why a lot of children are coming up with brain issues, temper tantrums, attention disorders, okay, bipolar, mental health issues. No one is connecting this with the vaccine, folks. The rise in mental health and brain issues and psychotic issues. That's what's going on in the world, folks. No one in the world is connecting this with what they discussed in the early 20th century, that they were going to use vaccines on the brain. Check that out, folks. Check that out. Did I make that up? Am I a conspiracy theorist? Can you look up this white paper yourself? Yes. Can you look up Rudolf Steiner and his occult connections? Yes. I didn't write this. I didn't make this up. Let me read it again. Will work against this and combat it by physical means. I have told you that the spirits of darkness are going to inspire their human host, and whom they will be dwelling to find a vaccine that will drive all inclination towards spirituality out of people's souls when they are still very young. So the same time they're teaching these alternative lifestyles like we've witnessed with the school teacher today, they're targeting the children's brains and are messing them up. This was their plan in 1917, folks. And this will happen in a roundabout way through the living body. Today, bodies are vaccinated against one thing and another, but in the future, children will be vaccinated with a substance which it will certainly be possible to produce. So they say that this substance is possible to produce. So they made it in the laboratories. And this will make them immune so that they do not develop foolish inclinations connected with spiritual life. Who are they targeting if these are not Christians or people who believe in the Bible, folks? They knew that there would come a time of the awakening where God's people would begin to connect back beyond their control. They knew the children of Israel would wake up. They knew it and had a fail-safe plan to disconnect us by targeting our children's brains. That's why our children are out of control and acting out. And that's why this system are actually financing these that are acting out. Because these are the sick people who have actually been damaged. Right under the nose of their parents, folks. Right under the nose of their parents. Got the document right in front of you. Conspiracy theorist? Now, all I'm saying is, with that knowledge and getting informed consent by doctors saying, well, listen, I need a list of all of those who've been harmed by vaccines. I don't want to hear that it was safe. I need enough information to weigh whether or not this is something that that I would like to choose for my child. And that's all I'm saying, brothers and sisters, whether you believe in the science of vaccinations or not. It's upon the parents. It's upon you to make sure you understand everything that's going on with your child and exactly what's being shot in their bloodstream. Because at the end of the day, that doctor don't have to deal with that mentally ill child or that diseased child. You have to deal with it. The government don't have to deal with that child not being able to think or concentrate, frustrated that he know the answer but can't get it out. They don't have to deal with that. The government don't have to deal with that. You have to deal with that. Thinking your children are dumb and all that, and they're struggling with metal in their brains. Thimerosal, which is mercury, is being shot in our children. Look up mercury. When I grew up, the thermometers were made out of mercury, that little silver stuff that goes up and down the ball in your thermometer. If a thermometer breaks in a school, they would have to evacuate everyone on the first floor. So you mean to tell me you're going to evacuate someone by a little mercury falling in the school on the floor, but yet you're going to shoot it in a baby's bloodstream before the child is able to make a choice on whether or not it wants to go through this? What about the baby's choice? Now, here's something weird, folks. The same liberal agenda for abortion who's claiming that a woman has a right to do what they want with their bodies, that they have a right to choose with their bodies, but yet she don't have a right to choose whether or not something is shot in her child. She got a right to kill a baby in the womb, but she don't have a right to say no to something that might harm her child. Where's her right to choose? To show you the only right you really have is to die, comply, and die while complying. Don't tell me I have a right to choose, but yet you make me do something that's against my God. That's against my moral belief. I don't believe that you can shoot something in me and make me immune from it. I don't believe in that. Okay? I believe in natural immunity. If I run into it, I believe my natural defenses will grow in immunity like it did during the time of Adam and Eve and even after that, when they lived hundreds of years. Okay? Okay? So I believe in that. I believe in natural immunity. I don't believe in shooting something past my body's natural defenses to defend me from something that I might not even run into. I don't believe in it. And you know what? I have a right not to believe in it. I believe in God. So the question comes down to, can you trust what they're putting in that? The same people who told you Christopher Columbus discovered America. The same people who told you George Washington never told a lie. Okay? The same people who tested on black people during the Tuskegee experiment and gave people syphilis on purpose to death just to experiment on them. So the question is whether or not you can trust them. And if you do trust them, you still owe it to your children to do the proper research before choosing something that can mean harm or even death with that choice. Right? Now I'm going to open up the calls in a moment, and I have a few more videos to show, right? I have a few more videos to show, but I wanted to put that out there for those who've just come in. Make sure you hit that like button, right? Again, topic of discussion here. I got a few more to show. Right? One moment. One moment here. One second. I lost my blog talk. 1 second here. Okay, we have him back there. Now, 515-605-9327 to call in and talk about this. The question is, do you have the right to say no or to disagree? What are they forcing on our children? What power do we actually have anymore as parents? Do you have a right to say no to any outside forces that are destroying our children? The state says no. comply or die. Or who cares? Die while complying. We have to get that number down to 0. Okay? They have to get that number of people down to 0, first starting with whom they deem the useless eaters. The useless eaters. Okay? One moment, and we'll be right back with the second part. We have one more hour, and I want to find out what parents are thinking now that you understand the true agendas. What's going on? That they planned this in the early 1900s to target our minds, knowing that the Most High would wake us up. Now you have our children acting out like they have mental issues, and no one is attaching that to the vaccine schedule. The neurological side effects, not just the medical side effects, the neurological side effects, the learning disorders, them being agitated, not listening. Okay? All of this is attributed to a chemical imbalance, but no one is looking at the entry point of that chemical imbalance. Our children are struggling, and they're looking at us saying, Mom, Dad, help me. Help me. And you have no idea how to, because you didn't try to help them. You didn't even look into how to protect your child at birth. Let's go. We'll be right back. Elder Lawyer, I hope you're ready.
The elders of the Gathering of Christ Church would like to invite you to enroll in the new upcoming Hebrew and Bible Academy, which begins December 23rd. The Academy is a 3-month online course which includes 12 live biblical lessons taught by the elders every Sunday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We deliver weekly analyzed news with Elder Ricard and Deacon Shapat with commentary on how it relates to Bible prophecy. Elder Ricard insightfully teaches each online Bible lesson in a personal classroom setting to enrich your learning experience. Additionally, Elder Lawyer provides an introduction to the original Hebrew language, including grammar and conversational Hebrew. For new and returning students, now is a great time to enroll, as we are happy to announce that we've added never-before-taught lessons on Daniel 9, the prophecy of the final 7 years, the Battle of Armageddon, and the 1,000-year reign. This intensive course has been meticulously customized and enriched with PDF booklets and downloadable videos, automatically emailed to you after every live lesson. Enroll today at historytimes.org or email us at gatheringas1@aol.com. We look forward to seeing you there. The elders of the Gathering of Christ Church would like to invite you.
That's right, brothers and sisters. This coming Sunday we embark on a new Hebrew and Bible Academy, going into week 1, the creation of the universe. Brand new lessons, folks, that have never been taught anywhere on earth, okay? Anywhere, okay? We're going to go into the fact that, believe it or not, we are not alone. Who's really controlling your politicians and leaders? Are they the fallen gods whom this world called aliens? Was there an invasion? Are they still here? Folks, we're not alone. We're going to go into the spiritual chariots of God and break down Satan's chariots, UFOs, and the Bible. We are not alone. We have that in the academy. We're going to show you the invasion from the beginning and how these invasions are continually happening. The abduction of people, the experimentation of people by the fallen ones, okay? By the demons who control things in this earth. Folks, this thing is deeper than you would ever believe when it comes to invasions. We are not alone. The fallen gods, the fallen angels control everything in this earth. All these cities, all these constructs were set up by them. The same way they set up the cities of Cain before the flood. Well, that's what we're going on in this academy. And the theme for this academy, the whole theme will be family. The whole theme of the academy will be family. Family together is the greatest weapon against the satanic forces and impositions against us. That's the greatest weapon. Keeping family together and teaching our children what's right according to the God who made us is the greatest weapon we have against all these agendas. We don't have to worry about vaccines. We don't have to worry about none of these things if we follow our God. Because our God has what? Laws. And through those laws, we cannot shoot anything unclean within our bodies. Only clean can go into our bodies. You can't shoot mercury, cow pus, thimerosal, none of that stuff, because it's against the laws of God. So the laws protect us even from that. So before I shoot anything in my bloodstream, you must show me the ingredients to make sure it's not breaking the laws our God gave to Moses. See, I don't have to worry about all that. I don't care about what's going on in the community and, oh my God, you're going to put me at risk. How can I put you at risk if the whole world is vaccinated? So if the vaccinations are working like you claim, the only one is at risk is me, because I'm the unvaccinated one. You understand? So no, you cannot give me anything unclean because it's against the law. So you're not going to shoot no cow pus in me or thimerosal, any agents you cooked up in the laboratory. Is against the laws of God. I'll stand on the faith that the believers stood on in the Bible. I don't see Christ with a syringe anywhere shooting somebody for healing. So I have the right to opt out of that and say, well, listen, thanks, but no thanks. Okay. I'll take on the risk. Since all of you guys are protected with vaccinations, then I'll just die off from the disease. Okay. You're protected already. Me and my children are fine. Okay. Now, Elder Lawyer, you're with me. Let me bring Elder Lawyer in real quick. Let's see here. Yeah, let's see. 1 second, Elder Lawyer.
Right.
Yeah, I got you. Say something, Lawyer.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I can hear you. You're loud and clear.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay, well, I'm just going to bring you in. Give me your opinion before I open up the phone lines. 515-605-9327. Come on, talk to us, Elder Lawyer.
Absolutely.
I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to come right back. Talk to the people.
Okay. Well, the first thing I want to do is I want to read a scripture in relation to the overall message of this particular broadcast, which is concerning the children. And do they have the choice? Do we have a choice to protect our children? And we're going to find out that that's a very profound question, because according to the Bible, according to Christ, children are very important key to our example of what it takes for us to enter the kingdom of heaven. It says here in the book of Matthew or Mark, chapter 10, verse number 13. And they brought young children to him that he should touch them, and his disciples rebuked those that brought them. But when Yeshua saw it, he was much displeased and said unto them, Suffer the little children to come unto me, and forbid them not, for such is the kingdom of God. Verily I say unto you, whosoever shall not receive the kingdom of God as a little child, he shall not enter therein. So what do we learn from the scripture? We learn that according to our Lord and Savior Christ, that children are an example. They're walking, living, and breathing example of what we must follow in order to enter the kingdom of heaven. Mainly because children are pure and they're innocent, they're faithful, they're full of faith, and these are the qualities that come with a child. And these qualities are so great that even we in this adulthood, with all the so-called freedoms and decisions that we are afforded that come with adulthood, we sit back sometimes when we watch children operate and we say to ourselves, boy, what can I do to become that age again, become a child again, to get back that state of purity.
Elder Lawyer, let me call you in from a different line because it's going in and out. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Keep your point. Hold tight, folks. I'm gonna call them in with a different line. Hold tight. All right. All right. Okay. Okay, let me call him in a different line here. Bear with me, only be a couple of seconds. This is an important discussion this evening, especially with the laws that are being passed in New York. And I'm going to bring in Elder Lawyer in a moment. Elder Gabar, so he can let us know what they're doing in New York with all these new laws that are being passed right now. This progressive thing when it comes to the vaccines and all that, as far as taking away spiritual or what you would call religious exemptions in the state of New York and what that means for our children. Okay, one moment. Okay, bring in a lawyer now. Okay, lawyer, you with me? Okay, lawyer, you with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can pick up from where you left off at. Go ahead.
All right, so picking up where I left off, I was mentioning that according to the book of Mark, chapter 10, verse 14, Christ says, "Suffer the little children to come unto me, and forbid them not, for such is the kingdom of God." And I was quoting that scripture in reference to the fact that children are like one of the walking, living examples that we have as adults as a reminder of what we must be like in purity and in innocence in order to enter the kingdom of God.
Exactly.
Even so much, it's even to the point where with all the freedoms and all the things that we've been afforded as adults and the decision making that we've been afforded as adults, sometimes we sit back and we see children operating and we say within ourselves, if only I can get back to that state of a child, or what would I do to one day become like a child again? Because again, the qualities of a child are purity, innocence, faithfulness, so on and so forth. So if we acknowledge this, if Christ acknowledged this, then surely Satan acknowledges the fact that children are a living example of what we must become to enter the kingdom. So in an attempt to eliminate that example, he has now focused all of his energy on the children to destroy that example, to now make sure that the children don't have those qualities that they once had. To look at a child who has that innocence and that quality of purity and now brain damage that child to the point where the child is almost like they are, to some degree, spiritless. They have no qualities for us to look at now and say that this is something that, this is the example that we must become in order to enter the kingdom of God. Also, when it comes to the LBGT thing, how the children are being targeted. Whereas before, I remember growing up as a child, even before knowing certain aspects of relationships, so on and so forth, we knew that something was wrong with a man acting like a woman. It was just something natural that when we saw it, we realized that it was something out of the ordinary. So now children are being raised with an alternative viewpoint to something that we once saw and recognized it and knew it was out of the ordinary. Now they're being trained to look at it as ordinary. So again, it's taken away that purity. It's taken away that innocence that children have, which again makes them so precious and so so valuable, even to us as adults looking to become those innocent beings that we once were as children. And on the just one thing I wanted to actually bring out here, this is a book that I wanted to mention, or one thing I wanted to mention from this book, since we brought up something in relation to measles.
Yes.
And the so-called outbreak of measles in New York.
Okay.
It says here in this book called Miller's Review, Critical Vaccine Studies, 400 important scientific papers summarized for parents and researchers by Neil Z. Miller. And one thing that's great about this book is it has actual research studies on vaccinations. This is not opinion, this is actual.
Okay, so give our brothers and sisters the name of that book again so that they can order it for their, what you would call informed consent, to see what doctors are saying on the other side that most public relation doctors on TV isn't telling our parents. So for informed consent means you're not disagreeing with the science of vaccinations and what the CDC is reporting. You're saying that I'm going to get an alternative view, another opinion, on the contrary, and weigh the risk before making that choice. A lot of you don't even know that you have the right to informed consent. You don't have to do it because, keep in mind, the doctors, folks, have a vested interest in the vaccines because they get a certain kickback for a certain number of children being vaccinated per year. So they have a financial, they're being incentivized to push this. But go on, give them the name of that book, Elder Lawyer.
Right. So the name of this book is Miller's Review of Critical Vaccine Studies.
Miller's Review. Okay. Miller's Review of Critical Vaccine Studies. Go on.
And the rest of the title states that it's 400 important scientific papers summarized for parents and researchers. And it has something very interesting that it states about measles. Now, of course, we don't necessarily endorse this information as being to be taken in place of medical advice, if you will, just for safety purposes.
Exactly.
But this is something that is very...
So let me say this again. We're not giving no medical advice at all. What we're saying is you have a right to look on both sides of the science and make an informed choice. That's called freedom. That's called freedom. Okay? I don't care if it's good for me. I don't want it. And I have that choice not to accept it, even if it's good for me. Okay? Go on.
All right. So on page 140, it mentions the following concerning measles and mumps. Page 140. It says measles and mumps infections in childhood protect against deadly heart attacks and strokes during adulthood. That's the title of the actual study. And he actually provides the reference for the research. This is a published study that was done by actual doctors, scientists, so on and so forth. And essentially what it states, I'm just going to read this one quote. It says, measles and mumps infections were associated with decreased risk of mortality from cardiovascular disease. So in other words, it's stating that, let's say hypothetically someone does, as a child, get measles or mumps. Number one, it's not a deadly disease. It's not something that you have to try to, vaccinate us against because it's such a threat to mankind.
Exactly. It's not that big of a threat in which you would have to be immune for it, have an immunity for it.
Exactly. Your body, once you get it, your body will overcome it. It will build a defense. And what it's stating overall is that as you get older, it actually decreased. What they found in this study is it decreased the risk of getting a fatal stroke or heart attack. Or if you do get a heart attack or stroke, that it becomes less fatal based on the fact that you've either had measles or mumps as you were younger.
Okay, so
now again.
Okay, so what you're saying, so I'm just trying to make sure that people understand this. If you ran into the measles and mumps naturally and your body built an immunity for it, it would help you against other things in the future. As far as heart attacks and all that, it builds you up to the degree in which you can fight more chronic diseases.
Exactly.
That's deep in itself. So that's part of your body, like working out. Your immune system is actually building up for something worse because it went through the natural curing of an outside threat. Right? So your immune system, that's deep how the Most High made our immune system, because it'll fight something. And because the immunity is built up, it's ready for something, a greater something, that harm thing that can happen to you. It's already ready for that. That's deep, but go on.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the ultimate point that I wanted to leave things with, as far as actually becoming informed, getting records and getting books like this to become informed, to understand what's going on with vaccines, and to also understand that, as you mentioned, we have an immune system. If we come across anything, God forbid, our immune system is what the Most High gave us through his wisdom and through his power, in order to allow our bodies the opportunity to fight against it naturally.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm gonna tell you, what the Most High made, we're not supposed to tamper with. I mean, because if something go wrong with your immune system, it's a wrap. I mean, suppose you get hyperimmunity to the point where your immune system say, everything's a threat, and start attacking your organs and all that. Now your immune system has become a ticking time bomb, an enemy. What the Most High made for protection has now turned its face against you. So you ain't supposed to be messing with that stuff. I mean, these are the same people who brought over smallpox and gave it to the North American Indians. So, I mean, I believe there should be a test done where, okay, let's see what a non-populated community or society looks like. So that we can have some real informed consent, but I digress. Elder Lawyer, I'm going to bring in a few phone calls, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm bringing a few phone calls. Before I do that, let me just play one more video. One moment. I think I have one more down here. Where is it? Well, in a nutshell, let me show these people this again here. Okay, New York City ends. Let's get it here. Let's play it once more for you. Where you at, lawyer? You up here somewhere. There you go. Let's play it again. And then I'll bring in the phone calls.
Well, good morning, Chris and Mary. Governor Cuomo's office says this new law will go into effect immediately. Its goal to protect the public after the worst measles outbreak in decades. Now, this yeshiva here behind us on Bedford Avenue remains closed today after violating public health orders. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo signed a bill in Albany Thursday ending vaccination exemptions based on religious beliefs as parents against vaccinations protested in assembly chambers.
The government does not have the right to interfere with my personal religious beliefs.
Senator Brett Hoylman sponsored the bill, which Governor Cuomo signed into law immediately after the legislature passed it.
If your kid is immunocompromised, and going to school or daycare center, you want to know that they're going to be safe.
This is a public health crisis.
The measles outbreak began in October and has spread through parts of Brooklyn, particularly in Orthodox Jewish communities.
Despite my pro-vaccination stance, and despite my beliefs that there are no religious restrictions, it is my constitutional duty to vote in the negative.
Since the start of June, there have been more than 250 confirmed cases of measles in Rockland County.
It's our obligation to act, but we have to do everything we can.
Okay, so let's now infect millions of children with the vaccine because 250 people, as they claim, didn't die, caught the measles.
To get the number of people vaccinated up.
Under the new law, parents will still be able to opt out of vaccinating for health reasons, such as a weak immune system. But besides that, unvaccinated...
So you can opt out if you have a weak immune system, which means you've already been vaccine damaged, and it's documented. Right? So it's in the interest of the doctors not to give you this exemption. Why? Because they are incentivized for vaccinating. So if you've already been damaged by vaccinations, then, you don't have to worry about new ones.
Children will not be allowed to go to school across the state.
We will not vaccinate. What's going to happen is we're going to either homeschool
That's
or
right.
we're going to move out of state.
That's
Governor
right.
Cuomo's office says it's up to each school administration to...
Now, do you see the look in that woman's eyes who made that statement? That's someone who cares for her children. She said, listen, either I'm going to homeschool or I'm moving out of state. You're not going to force me to put this in my child, and I'm looking next door at a brain-killed child, saliva coming down his mouth. He can't even speak. He can't even put sentences together after being vaccinated. You think this woman don't know better? Listen, this is a concerned mother. This is what a parent looks like.
Not be allowed to go to school across the state.
We will not vaccinate. What's going to happen is we're going to either homeschool or we're going to move out of state.
Governor Cuomo's office says it's up to each school administration to enforce the law.
That's a mother right there. Because why? She can sleep tonight knowing when she's tucking her children, they're healthy. She knows that if she was to turn these children over to the state and these children get damaged, that the government wouldn't take no responsibility for any of it. They would claim that the vaccines didn't have anything to do with it. She would have to live with that child and clean up after the child, defecating on itself and not being able to walk straight and all those things. She would have to deal with that.
Now, this yeshiva that was closed for violating orders will not be allowed to reopen until school officials...
This woman here is reading from a teleprompter.
...put forward a plan to fix the problem. We're live in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. Natalie Duddridge, CBS 2 News.
Okay, Natalie, thanks.
And guess what? Dr. Oz said on TV, public TV, look this up, folks. Dr. Oz said that when he comes home, he's Father Oz and not Dr. Oz. And he chooses not to vaccinate his children. He suggests, as a doctor being under those laws, he suggests it to others, But he says, when I come home, me and my wife make a decision not to vaccinate our children. We're not saying that science isn't correct, but we choose not to do so. That's Dr. Oz. But yet, if we make choices like this, CPS and others want to try to kick down our door and claim that we're being bad parents. Right? All I'm saying is what? Brothers and sisters always saying is, choose right by getting all the data and information and not taking just the government and the doctors and the clinics side on this. And don't forget what we just pulled out, that information of how they are targeting the mind to try to separate us from the Most High by targeting our brains. They planned this a long time ago, the occultists, to use the vaccines as their vehicle to destroy our children's brains. Huh? Bill Gates just said that the vaccines is to kill off 10 to 15% of the world's population. That they can get that number down as far as people living. Let's open up for some phone calls here. Let's get some calls. Hey, folks, that's what a real mother looks like. Okay? Okay, let's open up for some calls real quick. 515-605-9327. I also want to put out there, we still have some more calendars that will give you the correct holy days, not following the moon like most people are doing, which comes up 10 days earlier each year. You're not following the holy days if you're just following the moon. Okay? It's ridiculous. The years are shorter just following the moon, so it's impossible. You don't get 364 or 365 days, as they claim, following the moon. You get 3 months, 30 days, 3 months, 29 days, which ends up to be 354 days. Where do the other 10 days go? So you can't follow the Most High's holy days strictly following the moon. It's asinine. So if you want the correct holy days with a Sabbath calendar, which gives you 52 Sabbaths with all the holy days falling in a calendar year, go to gatheringofchrist.org and order your calendar and get on schedule with the heavens. Also, I wanted to put out IamApparel.org. Go there and get the apparel. Ahia is his name in the ancient. All right. Let's open up the calls. We have 254 area code. Then 903. Do me a favor. Okay. Make sure if I state or call out your number, make sure you turn down the background or put on headphones so that there's no feedback. It makes for a proper broadcast. What are they forcing on our children? What power do we actually have as parents anymore? And do you have the right to say no to outside forces destroying our children? The state says no. Comply or die while complying. It's the law. Roll up your sleeves and take your depopulation serum. 254 area code.
Oh, it's me. Hi. Shalom.
Shalom, how are you?
Shalom. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm blessed by the best, and his name is Ahia. Talk to me.
I was calling in because I just wanted to speak on the bullying that was going on in the schools. And people was wondering why the children was like going so far as to like committing suicide and carrying on for being bullied. And and they were saying, like, I was like, wow, when I was in school, which was back in the day, I'm in my 50s, you know, a little bit of teasing and a little bit of fighting, yeah, that's what went on. That was the bullying when we were in school, but not today. Today, the bullying is if you're straight, then it's a problem. But if you're gay, it's not a problem. So what it is they're bullying them into being in that lifestyle. not in the lifestyle of being straight. So it's hard for a child to tell somebody that somebody was playing with their butt or trying to come on to them like of the same sex. It's hard for them to tell somebody that, so they keep it to themselves, and that's what makes them want to, you know, commit suicide or feel like they're being bullied where they can't express it to nobody. That's all I wanted to say.
Well, sister, what you're saying is right on point, because what you have to do is, based on this system, you have to ignore reality and accept the redefining of everything, right? Like when you say bullying, right?
Right.
The whole thing is no one is attaching the chemical-induced environment we're in and all that with the higher suicides, especially now in school. They're teaching and bringing forth information in classes concerning suicide. So school is a place of learning. If a child is introduced to suicide, some children are going to take that choice. Okay? So if you want lower suicide rates, the best thing you can do is not talk about suicide in school and give children options for it, in their minds for it.
There you go.
Don't talk about it. Don't talk about suicide. That's number one. The same thing they did. The same thing they did with sexual education. By teaching it, that actually that stimulated the interest of sex and believe it or not, teenage pregnancy went up when they started teaching sex education in school. So if you teach it, they'll do it. So if you teach suicide, they'll do it. Now,
they're interested in it.
Now another thing, they've redefined bully. You're only a bully if you can only be bullied if you're homosexual. Okay.
Right.
Which is
no. They changed that. They changed that now. You're only bullied if you're straight.
No, but this is no. I understand what you said, but this is what I'm saying. Bullying used to be a thing where someone taller than me or someone who might fight better than me would try to take my lunch or try to hit me or you know. Bullying used to be a natural thing one must go through to build character and courage.
Right.
Bullying wasn't
That's
such.
all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was saying.
Thank you. I'm gonna put you on hold. Bullying isn't a bad thing, because what? Eventually, a bully gets what's coming to him. Okay, but that's a natural growth curve. I don't need the government coming in saying that no one should bully me. No, my father was like, listen, you go out there and you fight that dude. Okay, you fight. This is how you learn, son. Because why? One day you're gonna have to protect your family. One day you're gonna have to stand up to someone who's coming after your family. Either you go out there and you fight him or you fight me, son. Which one? And you know what? I sucked it up and went out there and I knuckled up. That's what you have to do. I don't need the government coming in trying to stop someone from bullying me. What type of garbage is that? What they're saying is the flamboyancy and their agendas that they're pushing on our children, they don't want no pushback from that. So like the sister's saying, now, believe it or not, the other side has become more aggressive. And if I say, no, I don't agree with that, okay, now I'm a hater or I'm a bully. You can't say no to the imposition anymore, or in reverse, you're bullying them. Okay, which means these people are getting the political power to enforce their will on our children. And that's what that sister said today, who was a school teacher. They're getting the political right to actually enforce their will against our children. And the parents aren't saying anything. Next call, 903. Shalom. Shalom. You're live with the Gather of Christ Church. What are they forcing on our children? Talk to us.
Shalom. Well, I know I do not have children or family, but
I'm sorry to hear that.
I always had a plan that if I did, and maybe somebody out there listening can take this and run with it, you know? Like you said earlier at the beginning of the broadcast, you said our people are putting our children in daycare and giving them over into the hands of these people, you know, chasing a dollar. And that's the way the world works. Of course, I went to school to live better and, you know, to be able to take care of myself and make more money. But I can also use what I learned to work for me. I've been to school every year of my life, but 8 years, and I'm getting, you know, up in age. So I'm at the level now to where, and I think about if I did have children, if I can teach at a university level, then surely I can teach my own children from kindergarten to 12th grade. I would not send my children to public school or private school. I would do homeschool and just use what I have to take care of my children at home. And I told quite a few people that, and they said, yeah, as much education as you got, I'm sure you could teach your children at home. Because, you know, back some years ago, online learning and getting a degree online was taboo. But I've got a certification online, and now it's set up in universities where you have to take online classes with ground courses if you go to a brick and mortar school. And now it's like the best thing ever because I don't have to be amongst these demons. I don't have to go to these classrooms. I could just do my work online. So, I know homeschool is set up in that type of way. And, you know, you got jobs out there. You can sit online. I mean, make the money that you want because you got teachers teaching. And, I mean, they going on vacation. You know, they out somewhere in Honolulu or in another country teaching you. And, you know, they making their money. So I said, you know, it's all types of creative ways that you can utilize and, you know, put out there and, you know, do it yourself. Because also in Texas.
Okay, sister, we have to go to the next call. We have to go to sister.
You don't even have to teach
sister,
them.
You have to wrap it up. We have a lot of people now.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
No, in Texas, they cut.
I'm sorry, sister. We have to go to the next call. Sorry. You have to be respectful for the rest of the people. You can't bring 3 and 4 and 5 points. And if I let you, still go. Okay? Sorry about that. All right. Next call. Before I go there, I would like to read this scripture speaking about the 5th seal. The 5th angel sounded, Revelations 9:1. And I saw a star fall from heaven. Now, a star is a fallen angel, folks. And to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose smoke out of the pit as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by the reason of the smoke of the pit. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth. So that means an angel comes down. Now we know these angels are really the powers over this earth, who give ingenuity, technology, and understanding to those who control this earth. But what John is seeing, he's seeing in a vision locusts. But how is this playing out on earth, you might think, right? He's seeing it in a vision, but this is how it's playing out on earth. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth. That means swarmed upon the earth. These are demons. And unto them was given power as the scorpions of the earth have power. So what came out of the earth has a stinger like a scorpion. This is what John is seeing in a vision. So this is something with a point. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man, a needle. And in those days shall men seek death and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. So what happens? They get sicknesses and all that, a lower quality of life to the degree in which they wish they were dead, but yet still walking amongst us with no quality of life. John was seeing the modern day healthcare system, folks. The making of people sick. They're creating the sick environment in which children are running around with sicknesses and all that. That's what John was seeing, folks. Let's go. 325 area code. Let's go.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom, Elder.
Talk to me.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Oh, I'm so blessed to be on here. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sister. It's on you.
Me? Okay, good. Well, my experience with vaccinations, I have 2 little boys that I was blessed with.
So, hold up. But, someone say, why are they locusts? Hold on. Someone says, why does it says locust? When you look at locusts, they come in packs like a cloud of darkness. So that's what he's seen. An innumerable number of spirits being released from hell after an earthquake. So these are demons that are being controlled by that angel that fell. So when that mark came, or when that trumpet sounded, that angel came down to bring forth a progressive agenda against mankind. So the locust is like a multitude of them going out stinging people, causing harm and sicknesses. Okay? Bringing some understanding to you there. Go on, sister.
Okay, so what I was saying is I was blessed by 2 children. And anyways, we came into the truth about 2 years ago, and we decided not to vaccinate our children anymore. At that time, I had just had a baby, and he was about 6 months, and we decided not to vaccinate anymore. And so his checkup came, and we went to the doctor, and I told the doctor, you know, we're no longer going to do this. And the doctor straight up told me, well, we're no longer going to see you as a patient then. And it just really, really, really upset me.
That's good.
But I prayed about it, and I prayed about it. And the reason, and after we stopped vaccinations with our 6-month-old, he had eczema on his face. He has no eczema on him at all anymore, at all. So I'm blessed about that. But anyways, I have found a doctor now who understands what we're trying to do with our children. I'm actually going to homeschool our children. I'm doing, they're young, so we're just doing ABCs right now and everything like that. But I think that you should have a right, if someone has a right to stand up and be gay and talk about that, I should have a right to teach my children. I should have a right not to get these vaccinations. I should have a right to serve the Most High as I sit to be, you know, I don't think that somebody should come to me and say, what you're doing is wrong. Well, what I think you're doing is wrong too. So, but I also have a niece, and I've been...
Okay, last point, sister, last point. Last point, go on.
Yes. She has a very bad digestive system problem, and she's actually having to be gone to a GI doctor specialist. And I told my sister-in-law about the vaccinations, and she stopped vaccinating my niece, and she's about almost 2 years old, but she's already seeing a difference in her digestive tract. Like with the runny diapers and poopy diapers, they're starting to get better. And I've been praying for my niece. I've been praying for her so hard, and I feel like that the Most High is hearing me in my prayer. So I am just, and I'm from the tribe of Gad, so I'm proud to, because I don't hear a lot of people say that they're from Gad, but I'm a proud supporter of that. So
well, thank you, sister.
But thank you so much for what y'all are teaching, and I'm blessed to listen to you every Wednesday and on the Sabbath and on Sunday, because I'm going to be in y'all's Bible Academy. But I'll let you know.
Hey, sister, this academy is going to be monumental. We have the new studies. We have books coming in.
Excited.
Hey, sister, you want to be a part of this one? I mean, we're going in. All praise be to the
Yes.
Most High. All right.
I'm ready for it.
Thank you for
yes,
your support,
yes.
sister. Thank you.
Shalom.
All right. Shalom.
Thank you. Shalom.
Thank you. What are they forcing on our children? Hold on. Let me put her on hold here. One moment. What's going on here? All right. Okay, let me put that on hold there. There you go. There you go. All right. 701 area code. I think we just went through that one. 407 area code. Then after that, 702.
Shalom, Elder. How are you?
I'm blessed by the best, and his name is Ahaya.
This is Sister Lisa from Orlando. I haven't talked with you in a while.
Hi.
But I just had a quick question.
Okay.
Quick question.
Yes.
What are the legalities, whether it's legalities, logistics, or financial reason we don't have our own homeschool system through the GOCC gathering, congregation?
Hey, sister.
And then a quick comment.
Oh, okay,
based on
okay,
that
okay.
after.
Let me drop something here. There's a lot of red tape and insurance and all that for churches to have such a program. They made it to the degree in which is almost illegal, or they'll bankrupt you to a degree to even be able to sustain something for children. Okay, so I think it's more so starting with family. Family's going to have to start coming up with what you would call community solutions, where if you got two people who believe the same thing and understand the same thing, and of course you have to watch who your children are around and vet them. We're going through great lengths to make sure that if someone has a background or whatever, even though they've repented from that, you can't have a background of certain criminality when it comes to being around children and have access to children. That's like a temptation there. You can't put that in front of people. But all in all, I believe that from a community standpoint, friends who know each other for a long time and know who you are around, can come up with solutions that can help each other instead of putting your child in care of strangers. Okay? But, that's just one of many things that can't be. It's not like we can come up with a solution over this broadcast right now. But it's time for us to discuss solutions, because why? They're leaving us minimal options now. Okay? So, but we're discussing things privately on how we can do certain things, but I can't talk on air with that. But go on.
Well, just so you know, sir, I will be the first to offer any services or finances or anything to get anything like that off the ground. My husband and I.
Oh.
We homeschool our daughter now. We had her in private school. I spoke with you a year ago about her situation where even though it was a private Christian school, they were trying to do DNA testing on the kids in the school. And when that happened, we said, we're not doing that. They said, well, if you don't let us pull her hair samples and get her DNA, you have to take her out of school. We called our lawyer. Like, we spoke to you about that. You said, call your lawyer or, get on that. We did that. That was shut down. We took her out to school. She's been homeschooled now for a year. We would be the first.
Hold on, sister.
If there's anything to do with finances.
Hold on, sister. Hold your point. If you're going to call in, you only have 5 minutes to call in. If you're going to call in, okay. Even though we're going to do a little overtime, where the phone lines will be closed, but if you don't get in within 5 minutes, you will not have a say. So you have 5 minutes to call in and get in queue before the queue cuts off. The phone number is 515-605-9327, 515-605-9327, and hit the number 1 if you have a question or comment. All right, you can finish your point, sister.
I'm going to wrap it up. So Like I said, also I was thinking maybe pulling together resources.
You know what?
Sorry?
Those are good ideas. Those are good ideas. Pulling together from a community standpoint.
Resources, yeah.
Exactly. The same way you have like your K-12, your K-12 homeschool and all that. If parents can get together and coordinate that at homes, not under a church or whatever the case is, because parents are now taking the onus and responsibility over their children. So the same way we leave our children in a class with a stranger, two parents can get together and say, you know what, let's work, let's coordinate in teaching our children. That's how it was before school. Okay. And then I used to homeschool.
Just to wrap up. Okay.
No, go on.
No, I was just saying, just to wrap it up, I'm here in Orlando. I can't wait for Saturday. We're going to be having the inauguration of our first service after 3 years. I'm so excited. But just how you have the gathering coming here, maybe other parents in the Orlando area can come together and do just that with resources we may have. We might have teachers, bankers, lawyers, doctors, nurses in the truth, or whatever. We can pull everyone together in the community. You don't have to go to the world to get these answers. You can go within our own and, help each other out. So that was just an idea I thought of. But I thought it was more financial, getting the monies together. I'm sure you have a lot of people in the truth that are financially able to do what needs to be done. And willing to do that, like how we have the academy. I think this is 15, but all of them are different. It's like a new one every time. So, it's amazing. Maybe you can do something like that. But if families can pull together and homeschool their kids without being under the church, if that's the red tape, then we can come together in private homes and do that. Nobody has to know.
Yeah, okay, yes. It's up to the parents, right? It's now taking your power back as parents, okay? All right? Thank you, sister. Some great points. Some great points.
Thanks so much, Elder.
And thank you because you're always forthcoming. You and your husband is always forthcoming, looking to help. I really appreciate that, okay? All right.
I've been doing it in the church for years, so why not do it in the truth? The real deal.
Praise the Most High. Thank you, sister. And I would like to say this real quick. I'm making a disclaimer, okay? And my disclaimer is, okay, and we're going to make sure that our production team put this as a disclaimer, okay? It's not our decision. We're not telling parents to do something or to vaccinate or to not vaccinate. That's not our stance. Our stance is you can't be in a country and say you got freedom of religion. My stance is when it comes to me, you're not going to impose a medical procedure on me that's against my religion. That doesn't make any sense. That's me. All I'm saying is everyone out there should have informed consent, and you should have the right to research either side to make the right decision for your home. That's the point. Okay. Okay, that's the point. The disclaimer is I'm not telling people to vaccinate. I'm not 90 seconds. And I'm not telling people not to vaccinate. I'm saying do the research and make an informed decision for your family, because at the end of the day, you as a parent is the one that's going to have to live with your decision. 90 seconds before overtime. Let's go to the next call. 606. Let me see. That's 606 area code.
60 seconds.
60 seconds before overtime. You're live with the Gathering of Christ Church. You're live.
Shalom.
Shalom. You're live with the Gathering of Christ Church. It's you, my brother. You're live. Okay, I'll get back with that call. Next call, 254 area code. Shalom, you live.
Oh,
You was
Shalom.
on. You was on. Were you on earlier?
10 seconds.
Yes, I was.
Okay, I'm sorry
wrong
about
now,
that.
But anyway, just wanted to make a comment.
Hurry up.
No, I just wanted to make a comment that'll probably help those who go to the doctor and about the decline in vaccinations.
Were you on earlier?
In my case, what was that?
Were you on earlier?
No.
Okay, go on. I'm sorry.
Okay, so in my case, I live in Hawaii. What always worked with me and my doctor was, it's how you come off. If you come up in there and you act like, we get this truth and we get puffed up and, we start, demanding, no vaccination. It's just the way you say it. So the way I did it was you kind of have to like play that role to where they kind of think they're smarter than you, and you just let them, talk or, give you recommendations and all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, my children's doctor, she understands that I don't choose to vaccinate, but she also doesn't really know my religious beliefs.
Okay.
She just knows that, I kind of ease it in, like, I need to do more research, and she gets it, and she's learning. I'm on my third child coming, so she knows, she gets it already. Okay, you don't want vaccinations, right? And I'm like, right. So it seems like doctors will work with you better if you kind of, well, some of them, not all of them, if you kind of, ease it in on them. Because if you flat out just start demanding and all this kind of stuff, they're going to get defensive, and they're going to, use whatever power they got to overpower you. So sometimes you just have to come in with being wise as, a serpent, but harmless as a dove. So that was just my comment to help if anybody else out there are trying to get exempt from vaccination.
All right, thank you, sister. Those are some great points, because sometimes, our people can go up in the office. I know what y'all doing. Y'all depopulating. I heard what Bill Gates said. Nah, that's not the way to go about it. Okay, go in there in a respectful posture and say, well, listen, thank you. I agree with everything you're saying, and it's nice. It's good. Okay. I'm just getting a second opinion. Right now I'm getting other opinions. I'm not saying give me your information. I'll take that and I'll weigh the data. And guess what? If I decide to do vaccinations, I'll call you first. I'll make an appointment. But if you become dismissive, combative, ignorant, now, like the sister says, they're going to in turn execute all the power they have under the law to give you trouble. Okay? So do it in a respectful manner and say, well, listen, thank you. I know you're concerned about children. Okay? Let me get the data, and I'm just weighing all the data right now. And that's your right as an informed consent. You don't even have to mention the word informed consent, because that's what it is. Okay? You don't have to let them know you know anything. Just, you trying to get out of there, with your child intact. Okay, so be wise as serpents, harmless as a dove, like the sister mentioned. 513 area code, and after that, 340 area code.
Hello, how you doing, Elder?
I'm blessed by the best, and his name is Ahia. Talk to me.
Yes, sir. I was just calling in because I was having a lot of pushback with my lady concerning vaccines. This is about to be my first child. I'm 26 years old. She already has a daughter that's 1 year old. And I was coming into the truth maybe 2 years ago before I even met her and before we decided to have a kid. And ever since then, I've been telling her, the Most High don't want us to take vaccines. And, we should let our kids have the choice to be not through, let the Most High deal with our children instead of the pharmaceutical companies. And she's real, like, she doesn't get it, a lot of people, a lot of women out there, they have the power as far as, making the decisions for the children, just because of the stigma on black men that we don't know, certain things about our children. And it's not been like a legacy of black men just being there for their children. So they feel like they know what's best. And, I just been trying to figure out the best way to educate her on it, because my education is coming through the Bible. And, she looks that
hey, brother.
intimidating to her.
Hey, brother.
I don't really know how to teach it to her.
Hey, brother, let's reel this back real quick. How old are you? How old are you?
I'm 26 years old.
Okay. Stick with me, young man. So this is why we are teaching.
Yes, sir.
Make a serious, spiritually educated decision before getting into relationships. Why?
Yes,
why? You should have known her stance on these things before a child would be involved. You should have known her stance on it, because these are the decisions we have to make, because now that will lead to friction now. She have one form of beliefs, which convictions that she believe in. And that can't be taken away from her. That's what so listen to what I'm saying though.
Yes.
You're asking me to come clear up something that, that you should have cleared up before actually making a decision to have a child. Right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. So true.
So listen what I'm saying. I'm gonna let you say what you got to say, but listen to what I'm saying. I'm a teacher of the Bible, right? And the Bible is,
yes, sir.
As much life within you, be at peace with all men, right? So you have to make peace. Blessed are the peacemakers,
yes,
for theirs are the kingdom of heaven. So you can't spring something on someone later, and infringe on their convictions. And that's what we're trying to fix. That's what we're trying to fix within our nation. You can't make a pact with someone who believes something different and hope to change them later. We get upset. I mean, we be telling sisters that. Sisters, you may get into a relationship with a brother thinking that, okay, I see all the red flags, but it's something special about me that's going to change him later. Okay? That's one of the greatest mistakes we make as a people, jumping into something and you're not equally yoked. So the only answer I have for you, brother, is to pray. Pray and not infringe on not infringe on her convictions, because I'm starting to understand if she's down with what the world is saying anyway, and she have the right to do that, she's going to have other issues with what you're dealing with, okay? Like the Bible. Like she want a child to have Christmas. So brother, listen. You're gonna need a couch with a priest in front of you with the Bible, not a psychiatrist. You're gonna need a couch with a Bible in front of you with every argument and every disagreement, because you cannot be unequally yoked with an unbeliever. It's a recipe for disaster.
Yes, sir. It's not that we don't have that much pushback with each other. It's just as far as like the children's health, because she already has a 1-year-old daughter, and I kind of feel like she looks at it as an intimidation thing.
Brother, listen to me.
Brother, not necessarily like.
Brother, listen to me. You're 20. Now listen to me. You're 26 years old, okay? And I know that you're gonna you have to resolve it for the sake of the choices you have already made, okay? But here's the reality, brother. The reality is, and here's the reality. If you yoke two oxen together to pull a plow, and one is pulling one way and the other is pulling the other, how much work you think is going to get done in the field?
Yes, sir.
So you must obtain enough wisdom
Not that much.
brother. You must obtain enough wisdom to understand if you get a wife, that she understand your position and authority according to the Most High, as far as you being the head. And if she don't understand that with her convictions, then you have a choice. That choice should happen before children are involved. Because if she's headstrong on what she believes for her children, and she was able to do that and walk away from a guy who she have a 1-year-old child with, then she can make that same decision with you, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, she can.
Okay. So hey, that's the bed you're in. Listen, brother. Brother, listen.
I kind of looked at it like the Most High, you know.
Brother, don't try to bring the Most High into it. That was your decision. You dealing with what's going on with your body and desiring that girl's body. Okay? Now, what you can do is pray to the Most High and ask him to open up or to shine a light on the situation and make it for good. But we can't be doing things and bring the Most High in later, brother. All I'm saying is pray. Pray and get ready for many councils. Okay? Let me place you on hold real quick.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. 340 area code.
Hi, how you doing tonight? I'm calling in because my situation was a little similar to the previous caller.
Okay.
My husband and I, we had our first child about 2 years ago.
Okay.
And I had some understanding about vaccinations and knew that it wasn't something I wanted to do, but he was really headstrong about doing it because he honestly believed that it was for the, it was to benefit his son. So I went ahead and I, prayed to the Most High. And long story short, we did went ahead and we did have some vaccines for my son. And the result of that, he does have some eczema. But I just want to go ahead and give all things and praise to the Most High, because through prayer, as of right now, my husband has decided that, or is in agreement with me, that we will no longer vaccinate our child going forward. So those out there that are in a similar situation where they're in a relationship where you know the truth, you have the understanding of vaccination, and your spouse or whoever does not, you have to understand, you have to give all your faith to the Most High and let him take that situation over for you. So that's all I wanted to say, really.
Well, the key point about this, and I'm glad you emphasized it, is the fact that you and your husband is making a conscious decision together.
Yes.
See, and that's the point. That's the point. Because in any relationship, there's going to be disagreements. But all praises be to the Most High that you and your husband, have that open. You have that, you have that open thing between you two in which you can discuss things constructively like adults and come to adult decisions to protect your children. So that's the Most High. That's a blessing, sister. All right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
I'm going to place
Have
you
a
on.
good night.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for calling. All right. Next call. 601 area code. And again, as long as you are in agreement, you're in agreement with the Most High first. That's the key. And can discuss things. All I'm saying is, take more control over our decisions. That's all. Find out what's in anything your children are involved in. Like the school teacher said, listen, talk to your children. Know what's being put in their minds, what's being taught in your absence. Well, that applies to food, and that also applies to medicine. Look into the ingredients, know the pros and cons, then make an educated decision on whether or not you're willing to deal with the positives of medicine or the side effects of the medicine. It's up to you. And that's how you have to approach it. Not, I heard what the Gathering of Christ Church said. I heard what Bill Gates said. No. We have to man up, woman up, and do the research. Okay? Let's get the next call. One moment. The next call now. 856 area code. 856, then 718. 856.
Shalom.
Shalom, you're live with the Gathering of
Can you hear
Christ
me?
Church. Loud and clear. Talk to me.
Yes, sure. Yes, Shalom. I wanted to speak on two things. I did get my child exempt, and then I worked on bringing other children within the family to the pediatrician he had and got them exempt from the immunization. But I want to share something that I encountered while in nursing school. In nursing school, they
hold
told
up.
us that when
Hold
children
up.
come to get
Hold up, sister. Do you have us on a speaker or something like that? Because you're sounding like you're far away or underwater.
No, I know where I am.
Excuse me?
I was in another room that had an echo. I was in a room that had an echo, I guess. I guess that room had an echo. Is it better?
You're better now. Come on.
Okay. In nursing school, I learned this in nursing school. They said that when you bring your children to the doctor to get immunized, that they should go back. That the parents are supposed to stay into the waiting room for 20 minutes because if the child is going to have a reaction, they only have that 20-minute window to reverse it. And a lot of parents I talked to, and even know myself as a parent, that was never said when our children were immunized. That was never said, you wait right here for a window. So in my career, I came across a young lady. I began to take care of her in her home. She was paralyzed. She didn't know what was going on. She could only move her eyes. She had a trach. She had a G-tube. Her mother stayed home with two other girls while the father took her to the doctor. On the way home from being immunized, the little girl went into a seizure in the back of the car in her car seat, and she's driving on a highway. And that was the damage that it had done to her. It was irreversible damage done to her child.
Okay, you're saying right after vaccination.
So,
hold up, sister. So I can be clear and others out there can hear us because I'm still trying to wade through your communication, whatever device you're using there. You're saying right after a girl was vaccinated, immediately she fell into a seizure?
Yes, when she was vaccinated, the dad left the hospital with her, got in his car, driving home on the highway. She went into a seizure in her car seat.
And then
driving was nothing hardly.
And you said as a result of that, she's still dealing with the effects of that vaccine.
Oh, she lived to be 18. I was her private duty nurse for years. She lived to be 18 and passed away about 6 years ago from the result of the vaccine that she had when she was about 2 years old.
Okay, she was 2 years old, and immediately after that, she went into convulsions and eventually died at the age of 18 as a direct result of the vaccine. So her whole life was struggling with the vaccine damage. She was bedridden up to the age of 18.
Correct. She became paralyzed. She was bedridden. She couldn't eat. She couldn't breathe on her own. She ended up with a trach, an vent, and a G-tube to feed her. And she was on a vent, and she was trached for the machine breathe for her. And she was bedridden her entire life till she was 18 years old.
Now, do you think that's something that the CDC would report on to let people know that there's a chance that could happen?
Oh, no, they won't report that. I mean, her parents knew that, and I confirmed. I said, yes. I said, I'm aware of this. I learned this in nursing school that can happen. But your case is the first one I came upon personally.
And you've seen that with your own eyes?
They would never report that.
That's deep. That's deep.
Yes.
That's deep.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So
now,
so let me ask you.
And I do have a.
Well, I got your number. We'll call you offline and discuss other things because maybe we can talk to the parents or whatever down the line to figure out what recourse was taken knowing that their child died as a result of vaccines. But I'll talk to you, but we'll talk offline on that, okay?
Yes, sir. Shalom.
Shalom.
Yes, sir.
Okay, 718 area code.
Okay. Shalom, Elder.
Shalom. You're live with the Gathering of Christ Church.
How are you?
I'm blessed by the best.
Shalom, how are you? So I just wanted to make really quick points. I do a lot of research for the New York City body.
Yeah.
And doing some research recently on the whole vaccination issue that's going on. I have come up on the fact that the AMA is now creating incentives to states to remove the religious waivers and the personal choice waivers. So it's my opinion that within the next couple of months or the next few years, we're going to see a lot of different states pulling back those waivers. So it's not, this whole situation is going to become bigger than New York. The other thing that I wanted to say is I'm a daycare owner. I own 2 daycares, and based on the information that the state has been sending out to us, it seems that new regulations are going to be coming out regarding homeschool and what can be done on a property of a daycare regarding students that are homeschooled. Because my husband and I homeschool for about the last 8 years. We homeschool our eldest through college, and now we're homeschooling our boys. And based on the emails that they're sending out, it seems that a lot of regulations now are going to be coming out in regards to homeschooling. So it seems that the issue is growing, and it's going to become a little bigger than, we're all anticipating. But I wanted to say that I
Okay, one more thing, sister, because we gotta get to the next call.
Okay, I just wanted to say that there are a lot of ways that we can band together as the body, and homeschooling and being parts of groups. There are multiple ways that we can come together, even in large groups, to still homeschool together and still fall under the protection of the law, saying that we're not breaking any protections. But I wanted to encourage the families that are out there, if you're planning to homeschool, please know the laws and, follow the protocols. And if you're planning to go into the doctor's office and not vaccinate, please do not sign the waivers, because in signing the waivers that the doctor's offices are offering, you're admitting that you're personally putting your child's health at risk. And they put these waivers to be able to kind of entrap.
I got you, sister. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And place you on hold because we only got a few more calls. And what the sister is saying, read anything before you sign it. And that's anywhere. Doctors' offices, lawyers, doesn't matter. Because what they'll say is, okay, that's it. Well, sign this and say that you're waiving your right. But really you're saying, if something happened to my child, I'm responsible for that. And I could be criminally prosecuted for this. So be careful before you sign anything, or you look at it and say, listen, I didn't come here to get into no contracts. Matter of fact, you know what? Give me that. I'll let my lawyer check it out. So you don't even have to have any conflict. You can say, well, I'm glad you gave me that too. With the rest of the information you respectfully gave me to help my child. Good. I'm going to take this and have my lawyer look at it. And, if my lawyer says it's okay, I'll sign it. Exercise your right while you still have them. Your rights while you still have them, right? 334 area code.
Shalom.
Shalom. What are they forcing on our children? Yes, talk to us.
Hi. I don't have any children right now, but I am a nurse. And where I work at, they tried to push the vaccination on us, the Hep C vaccination and the flu vaccination. And I told them that I was going to not sign it, forget it, and all hell broke loose at our job. They started picking at me and asking me was it against my religion, and I pretty much had to check off that it was against my religion not to get this flu vaccine.
Okay.
And ever since then, the supervisors, they started to mock me, say she must be one of those Muslim people and all different types of things. And I know being a nurse, we have to give out all types of medications, different patients or whatever. And I don't give out any vaccinations. I told them I won't be administering any vaccinations to the patients. But with me being a nurse, it kind of goes against our rules and our job.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to know, like, what do you think about that?
Well, sister, what I think
working
about
somewhere where they're kind of ruining you.
Well, sister, what I'm thinking about that is you're going to get fired. Okay? The healthcare system is set up. Okay? The healthcare system is set up to actually, enforce the government's healthcare agendas. So when you sign up to these hospitals and all that, it's no different than when you read the Bible, even though the midwives, had courage like you had and decided not to kill the children when Pharaoh ordered the midwives to kill the young men at birth. At least those midwives had the courage to say, no, I'm not killing the children of God. But when you sign up to some of these contracts, which are, in the healthcare field, you're going to do exactly what you were trained to do. And administering needles and vaccinations were in your training to be a nurse, correct?
Right.
Yeah, that's what you're being trained for. So all I'm saying is, based on what I'm hearing here, and I'm sure you have prepared yourself for this, it's one thing to say that you're not going to allow something to go in you. You have the right to. But you are actually paid to administer what they call their medicines. That's what you signed up for. So it's your job, your paycheck. I can't say what to do there, okay? You would have to speak to your boss, and if you're going to work in a hospital, you probably want to find another occupation within the hospital that doesn't require you to do that. But outside of that, you signed up for that, right? You have to make a choice. Okay?
Okay.
And the most we can do is make sure we put prayers out there to make sure the Most High guides you into something that doesn't violate your conscience. Okay?
All right. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome, sister. And bless you. 678 area code. You're live with the Gathering of Christ Church.
Shalom, brother. How you doing?
Shalom. Talk to me. How you doing, brother?
Good.
What's that in the background?
Just kind of tuned
there's
in
some there's some hissing noise in the background.
You know what? Let me go inside. That's probably the cicadas out there. Hold on one second.
Lord, have mercy.
On the porch.
All right. Man, y'all be having all types of stuff in the background. Like, you on the radio, man. Come on now.
Oh, man. Yeah. Right on. Well, I'm just almost, I know this is a common topic that has been rampant with the Gathering of Christ Church for some time, and I'm almost kind of even wondering why it's really still an issue. It's just the fact of the matter. Like, listen, the deal is you have a child, and people are debating whether they should administer, life-altering, drugs to them through vaccinations or not. I don't even. It kind of blows me for a loop, to be honest. I think the answer is very simple. You just don't do it. You find a better way. If you have to quit your job and find another job and find another career, then do that.
Well,
it just doesn't make sense.
Hold up, brother. I mean, all due respect to you, and I understand what you're saying, but life isn't that simple. Everyone have different circumstances. You understand? Life. I see what you.
I understand that. And I thought about that. But it's your child. It's your child, though. So I understand life circumstances, but it's your child.
I understand.
Your child, well-being or not, or I need someone to explain that to me.
Well, everyone have their own circumstances.
I need someone to explain that.
See, but keep in mind, brother, that we're here to give people the insight and the information out there to make an informed decision on themselves, within themselves. The last thing I would want is people to feel pressured or shamed based on the pressure that was put upon them from a radio show. I need people to deal with critical thinking and educate themselves on everything that, that will affect them, their household, and their children, without them feeling, okay, I'm doing this because the Gathering of Christ Church had a radio show. No, we're just here to give you the information. So I don't want to put that pressure on people like that. I don't want to do that. At the end of the day, we put out the information, and they make the choices with it. Okay, I hear what you're saying, but
I hear that, Elder, and I respect it. But also, I think sometimes what has happened is, and I'm experiencing this as well, just living in the society that we're living in, where we live in this very pretentious, have to be careful about the things that we say, not to offend anyone. There are so many different levels and manifestations of, being politically correct, to where it's almost sickening. And I just want, let's make things simple. I'm not saying that this is an easy thing, but let's really look at it for what it is. We understand that vaccinations potentially can kill your child. Dude, get another job, man. If you can't afford to homeschool them, or quit with the excuses. I think we're coddling people too much. Listen, this is your child's life on the line. And then I have to start to ask the question, with people that still allow for their children to be vaccinated in the name of, oh, but I don't have enough money, or this situation, or I can't change careers. Okay, so basically what you're saying at its very diminutive or situation is, so you're willing to take a chance that your child might die in order for you to make $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month paycheck? That's crazy to me, Elder. And I think that we need to stop coddling our people.
Hey, brother.
That's what, and it's fine. You're dealing with the radio station.
Listen.
You're playing middle field right now. It's not Saturday.
No.
But someone needs to tell them.
No. Listen to what. No. Listen to what I'm saying, though, brother. Listen to this clearly. Okay. The reality is there are people that are willing to have their children go through that, because and it's just the way it is. Let's deal with the reality of things, and how many people we know in our neighborhoods. I grew up with a person living next door to me who had a son that was, he was really, the system jacked him up through all of the experimentation and all that. But the mother didn't. The mother would go along with it. Why? Because she was getting all types of SSI checks, all types of finances coming in. She had all the new stuff, but she would have more money than everyone on the block because she had a child with special needs. So if she had to weigh the pros and cons, she was still taking her child for the experiments, because why? She was able to live a certain lifestyle. And we cannot ignore that element that's amongst us, that there's people willing to do certain things for money. That's a reality, brother. That's just the truth.
And that's what I'm saying. We're selling. Listen. I don't believe through our actions that we as a whole, we as a populace, we as a community, love our children as much as we rhetorically speak and say that we love our children.
See, but we can't.
Why?
I'm saying, but we can't.
This is
I'm about to go to the next call, brother. No. Listen to what I'm saying, brother. Listen to what I'm saying. We can't make an overall broad statement like that after hearing all the concerned parents today who are taking a stance and doing the right thing and using it informed consent. So let's not make a blanket thing. I understand right now there's passion going on here. But there's a lot of people doing the right thing, and that's why they're ramping up these laws, because our people are waking up. Our people are seeing the side effects and all that. So let's give our people more credit. Okay? and understand that on either side, you're going to have those that fall through the cracks that's going to say, I don't care what you say, I'm going to do what I think is right. That's part of it. It's our position, brother, to bring out the information, bring forth the will of the Most High, bring the understanding of the Most High. And then at the end of the day, when these computers are off and the phone is off and you and I no longer talking, brothers and sisters have to make a decision. That's between them and the Most High and their household. It's our job to do what? Drop the word. Give them the information. Even Christ says, he that have an ear, let him hear. So it's not for everybody. People are going to do what they want to do. And if you begin to kick against the pricks and cast your pearls before swine, you will be rent underfoot. You're not going to force people who want to do what they want to do something else. So it comes a time where you don't kick against the pricks, brother. You drop the understanding. That's it. Okay? I'll call you.
You're right.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't want to take any more time, Melvin. You know, I respect you immensely.
Yeah.
But I just really want the people to think for a moment. You know, I also myself in the past have been a 360 thinker, which just basically means just to think in circles. Let's simplify things, people. I'm with y'all. We're one community, but let's simplify things. We don't have to blow things out of proportion. We can simplify, and that is, listen, there's only three options. You homeschool. If you are not married, but you don't have a financial,
we have to get to the next call, brother. You got to speed it up.
And don't have them. Okay, yeah. But it's real simple.
All right.
If you don't have children yet, postpone that until you make enough money. If you do have enough money, homeschool. You know, if you're in the situation,
we got to get to the next call, my brother.
Already, of age. All right, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'll leave it with you too. And let people think about it. I'll look at the comments, see what people say.
Okay.
Shalom.
Thank you. Shalom.
Keep doing what you're doing.
504 area code. Shalom. You're live with the Gathering of Christ Church. $504. Okay, let's get to the next call. We're ramping up. We're ramping down. 6620. We're winding down. You're live with the Gathering of Christ Church.
Shalom, man.
Shalom. You're live with the Gathering of Christ Church. Talk to me.
Yes. I know the lady was talking about earlier about the school system. Well, I've been a teacher for about 18 years. And the things that they do within the school system, an example of this. I know right after spring break, when school is basically winding down, after spring break, there is really no more school. They're really focusing on the test, the test, the SAT test that will amp up the scores to get you to get your school like an A school, a B school, a C school. There is no more schooling. And it is very important to them to get those test scores up. And it's very important to them to really do away with the rest of schooling. And the way that they're doing it is really important to get those tests up to really bring more funding within the school.
Are you there, brother?
Get the scores up. Now I'm here.
Okay, yeah, you broke up. Go ahead, make your point before we get to the next call. Go ahead. Okay, your phone is going in and out.
They're utilizing.
Yeah, your phone going in and out. I have to bring you back, okay? Because your phone is going in and out. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Next call, 716 area code. You're live with the Gathering of Christ Church. What are they forcing on our children? What power do we actually have anymore as parents? Do we have a right, or do you have a right to say no to the outside forces that could be destroying them, your children? Well, the state, to some degree, may say no, you don't have a right, okay, when it comes to public safety or whatever the case is. Comply or die compliant. You're live with the Gathering of Christ Church. 716.
Shalom, Elder.
Shalom. You're live.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sister.
Okay. What I want to do is really just leave my phone number so Elder Lawyer can call me, because I would like to get baptized and stuff with your church.
Okay, let me have your name, sister. I have your number here already. Let me get your name.
Yeah, Nene.
Nene, okay. And what city are
Mimi.
Mimi?
Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo, New York.
Okay, Mimi. Okay, that would be Elder Gabar.
No, N.
Nene.
Yeah, N, not M, but N.
I got you. I know a lot of Nenes now. Come on, 716-842-6426. All right. All right, Nene. It'll be Gabar.
Okay, Elder. God bless.
Bless you. It'll be Elder
Gabar.
Elder Gabar will be calling you. All right?
Okay, thank you very much.
All right.
Okay.
All right, shalom. All right, great. All right. Let's go down the line. Next call, 816 area code. You're live with the Gathering of Christ Church.
Shalom, Elder. How's it going?
Blessed by the best. His name is Ahia. Talk to me.
Yes, sir. Pretty much not much of a question, just kind of a point of, and maybe asking you a question on something. I know on the one side, everyone's fighting to avoid the vaccinations to get the education. But my point, I was just thinking about how valued is the education that we really trying to get. I know from like the elementary years, between maybe the age 13, 6th grade, maybe 7th grade, I can understand, but it seems as though the curriculum that they have after that is where the social studies, the chemistry and physics and things of that nature, stuff that we probably won't even use. And it's kind of like, I don't know, just thinking that children really more than likely need reading, writing, arithmetic.
Okay, brother, you're going to have to get right to it. I know you've been waiting a while. You had to get right to it because we got a few calls and less time.
I understand. I was just asking, as far as your point, would you agree or disagree on the extracurriculum things that they have that are in depth? Because even if we're time to go or something like that, they won't be able to use or have a need to use any of that extra stuff they got them going through those postgraduate, curriculums and things of that nature. I was just wanting to know your views on all that over-the-top type of education that's not even needed in the first place.
Okay, my views on that, number one, is that we all know school, the majority of school is social engineering. But the bottom line is we can't ignore the positives that one can get if they're being guided correctly in their homes. You understand? So the whole thing is, if you have the knowledge to understand what the world is, you'll be able to get something from all that stuff, but instead of it socially engineering and controlling you, you're getting information on how to now take the bricks out of Babylon instead of building it. So I believe there's a lot of positives in all of that if you can see it constructively and positively from the Most High's vantage point. So the key point is, yes, some of these things may seem a waste of time in the school for those who don't understand what it is. But if you have a good healthy home, a spiritual home that understands the Most High in Christ, you can go inside one of those schools and you can tear all those classes up. You can get, you will listen to all of it, take what you need and spit out the bones. What the bottom line is, you're not going to change the social engineering. So the work have to be, correct. There must be a balance at home. Like when my son went to college and all the nonsense that was going on there, he came home, started laughing and saying they gave me a Zoroastrian book of ancient Babylon and knew exactly what it was and started laughing. He wasn't, he wasn't sucked up into the alternative religions, but he had to use that and learn in that class to get the extra credit. You understand?
Right.
He didn't say, well, I'm going to quit school.
And that's the only reason I called for you
exactly.
to get that out.
Exactly. He's not going to say, I'm going to quit school. I don't need this because I don't need all that stuff. Nah. You can use the school to your advantage, but it's what you have in the home. It's the original nurturing and intelligence you learn, the spiritual intelligence you learn in the home, and you weigh the two and spit out the bones. You weigh. You should filter through school, get that education if you need it, because now you can use it in turn to help your people. Okay, like Moses. Moses was at the highest height of academia within Egypt, amongst the Egyptians. He had the highest level of education we would look at today in academia. Abraham went and taught the Egyptians arithmetic and all that. So yes, the schools are important, and there is some knowledge and understanding that can benefit us in classes that you think we don't need. You just have to have the right understanding to filter through it. All right?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. So I would never encourage a young man to say, well, you don't need school or drop out of school. No. You go through it with the knowledge of the Most High and learn to build, because there's a lot of key information when it comes to society building and all that, and social skills and all that we must learn. Okay? There is some positives there. Avoid the poisons, the social poisons and otherwise. 336 area code. Shalom. Okay, we have one more call. 336 going once, going twice, 3 times. Last call for this evening, 701 area code, July with the Gathering of Christ Church. Before I take this call, let me put out there that the album is now done. It's going to be called, of course, Music with a Purpose. It's going to be a 12-song project on either album, a 2-album set. You can get them separate or together. One is going to be praise and the other is going to be inspire. Okay? And if you want to get on the list, the pre-order list for this particular music compilation that I've put together, you can send an email to goccroyaltymusic@gmail.com. That's goccroyaltymusic@gmail.com if you haven't gotten on the pre-order list, to say that you would like to get it, so that once it's released, boom, we'll send you the email on how to actually download or to order yourself a hard copy with all the key information. It's going to be scriptures, inspirational sayings, all that within the physical hard copy. So I know if you want to get the download in the hard copy, you will be able to get both. And it does help the work, and it help us, get to other areas. We have a lot of initiatives that the church is trying to accomplish. So goccroyaltymusic@gmail.com if you would like to get it on the pre-order list for the musical project, Music with a Purpose. Last call, 601 area code. You're live with the Gathering of Christ Church.
Shalom.
Shalom. You're the last call for this evening.
Okay. I
I thought you skipped over me, Elder Shalom.
No, you
I
here.
thought you called someone else. I
Nope.
apologize.
You're here.
Yes, I was listening to. I've been listening. It's my God. When I saw that you were speaking on this, it was like much. I mean, we really need to keep this before us, because the brother was saying about the parents and us copping out. Well, I've through educating myself, through you all bringing this forward and me educating myself on it, I've stood my ground to the point of losing a job at the hospital. And now I'm facing trying to, and I have homeschooled my son before. He's going to the 7th grade, but now they're requiring them to have this the Tdap shot. And of course, I'm totally against the vaccines, because I see what it has, the damage it has caused, even with my own son, the eczema, he's not, focusing. He wants to get something out, but he can't quite get it out. He knows what he wants to say, but it don't quite come out, things like that. Now, of course, I'm dealing with that now, so we know what the problems are with the vaccine. So when I go to the doctor and I ask for, to give me what's in the vaccines, ask them to the informed consent, ask the doctor to show me exactly what's in the vaccine so I can make a conscious decision. Once I do it, because I did that on the job that I was on, and of course, I lost my job. I still lost my job. They stood their ground too. So once you do that, then what options do you have if you can't homeschool, if you can't afford to, because I have to work now. I can't afford to homeschool at this time. What are the other options do we have? The sister was saying earlier about us coming together. I do have a question on what do you think about the Parents Against Vaccines, that whole organization? Because I think they try to link doctors and lawyers in different, states together to help the families, to link them together with these different entities in order for them to get past, getting the vaccine. Now,
okay. Well,
I'm sorry. Did you say something?
No. No. What I'm saying, sister, is that this research has to be done independently. Okay, because there's things when it comes to that. I'm not trying to have the work of the church and all of us become liable. If I put out something and someone does something, and now you take it and you do something and it leads to something negative or whatever the case is. All I can say is do your research.
I understand.
Okay. If you are with the church, get with the church and see what your alternative options are. If you have family members, get with your family members and see what options y'all have to help babysit each other and all those things. Okay. And that's the whole deal. You understand? It's a shame because there's really no support for those who decide that they want to opt out of some of the negative effects that could happen. You opt out of some of the state programs, the initiatives for our children.
Right.
When you're not a part of the board or a part of the the system, there's not too much support to the degree in which we must rally together with those of like mind outside of these broadcasts and come up with alternative solutions, pockets of solutions to help, in our specific area. Okay. So that's all I can say there. Okay. Are you with the church?
Okay.
Are you with the church, sister?
Yes.
What church are you with?
I've been. Yes. I'm in Mississippi.
Okay, Mississippi. Okay. Well, just stay in touch within the church, and there's going to be some solutions amongst the body. We'll discuss those solutions. All right.
I'll pray.
All right. With that, I'm gonna.
All right.
All right. Bless you.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom 701. I'm gonna give you a shot.
Shalom. Thanks for taking my call, Elder. What they're doing with my son, I mean, he's here in North Dakota. He hasn't been out of school just the end of May. They're already pushing for vaccination.
Excuse me, it's 2 minutes before the whole thing ends, so get it out within 2 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And so they're pushing for his vaccinations before he goes into 12th grade. And I mean, he's playing sports, so he thinks he has to take it. But if they don't do it without it, he won't go. And last of all, I'd just like to say with vaccinations and what it's done to my kids, I really want to send a shout out to Deacon Gocc in Las Vegas, Deacon Enya and the family in Cleveland, because without you guys and seeing what the results of vaccination has done to my kids, I would probably be in a crazy house myself. So without me being in a body, I just really appreciate you guys because you're my lifeline. I'm here in Dakota, nobody's here but me and you guys on the phone. So I really, truly appreciate it, and I really appreciate the information from the teacher and the other callers and the video information that you have sent. So shalom. I love the family. Look forward to meeting the Minnesota family soon. And shalom.
Shalom, and thank you. And I would like to say the single for the church have been released. It's called A Higher Powers With Me. A Higher Powers, let me type it in here. A Higher Powers With Me. Right? A Higher Powers With Me. H-I-G-H-E-R. A Higher Powers With Me. Now, we know it's a highest power, but it's titled A Higher Powers With Me. I'm singing it. We did the production. I did the backgrounds and all those things. And Maestro from Houston did all the music and all that, and we composed the release of the song, A Higher Powers With Me. You can type that in, go to Spotify, go to anything, all the other platforms, iTunes, it's there. A Higher Powers Are With Me. Also, go to Truth Genre, our new page that will be on YouTube, Truth Genre, to hear snippets of the single, and all the links will be on that page. And if you follow A Gathering 144, we're going to actually link that in where you'll be able to be redirected to the music if you need it directly from the main page. We thank you for your support, and we are excited about this new project. We have Elder Lawyer coming in with the Lord's Prayer in the ancient Hebrew. Nice, relaxing music. Save Me, one of our favorite songs. Unpick Fruit. Ordinary Girl. Make a Nation Like Abraham. A lot coming out this summer. So thank you for your support. And again, A Higher Powers With Me. H-I-G-H-E-R. A Higher Powers With Me. Put that in, download it, and enjoy. Shaloms. And may the Most High be with you. Stay prayed up and sin not. We'll see you this Sunday in our first week of the Hebrew and Bible Academy, the creation of the universe. You don't want to miss it. GatheringofChrist.org, HistoryTimes.org. Be a part of this work. Shalom. Stay prayed up and sin not. That's right. Let's do the work. Bless you, my brothers and sisters.
The elders of the Gathering of Christ Church would like to invite you to enroll in the new upcoming Hebrew and Bible Academy, which begins December 23rd. The Academy is a 3-month online course which includes 12 live biblical lessons taught by the elders every Sunday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We deliver weekly analyzed news with Elder Rakah and Deacon Shapat with commentary on how it relates to Bible prophecy. Elder Rakah insightfully teaches each online Bible lesson in a personal classroom setting to enrich your learning experience. Additionally, Elder Lawyer provides an introduction to the original Hebrew language, including grammar and conversational Hebrew. For new and returning students, now is a great time to enroll, as we are happy to announce that we have added never-before-taught lessons on Daniel 9, the prophecy of the final 7 years, the Battle of Armageddon, and the 1,000-year reign. This intensive course has been meticulously customized and enriched with PDF booklets and downloadable videos, automatically emailed to you after every live lesson. Enroll today at historytimes.org or email us at gatheringas1@aol.com. We look forward to seeing you there.